what if the MySpace dude... Oh, that's my new conspiracy. What if the MySpace dude was in the background, Blofeld style, with a big old kitty, and he's back there, Blofeld style #1. He's coaching and leading everybody else to self-implode all of their tech overlordery, right? And then what happens? Boom, MySpace comes back, dominates. I think this is Tom's master plot. Tom is Blofeld. Everybody remember that picture of Tom when he's got a big whiteboard and he's looking back with his thumbs up? That thumbs up was the long game, the long plan. And by the way, in his lap is actually a kitty if you zoom in. It's a puffy white kitty. A fluffy white kitty. A puffy white kitty. That's Tom's master plan. And he's just playing Elon. He's just playing Zuckerberg. He's playing him like Zbigniew Brzezinski plays the chessboard of nations. Sit down and shut up. Remember when Luke Radowski asked Zbigniew a question about 9/11, and Zbigniew said, "Sit down and shut up." You don't sit down with the Zbigniew, you zit down. Zit down. So everybody likes these reaction videos, by the way. We're going to mix it up today. That means I'm going to react to some of these zit-faced people on Libs of TikTok. I don't think I've ever seen Libs of TikTok, except one time on a clip, but everybody talks about it, and I'm sure it's funny. I'm not dissing Libs of TikTok. And I'm not dissing Bryson Gray, even though I did call him out in my rap freestyle the other day. Bryson faking Gray got called out on my freestyle. If you would hit like and share, welcome everybody. It is the return of my cold. I have a cold again after the other cold just went away. I don't know if it's the same cold or a new cold or COVID variant 29XG. It's the COVID 29 variant. I got it. Y'all help me out. I better go get some stabbies. What'd you ask for Christmas? I want a stocking full of Fauci stabbies. Welcome, Merry Christmas. I bought you a little stocking. I was wearing it as I danced around on everyone's graves. This is Tony. Got you a little stocking. It's full of stabbies. Remember that story of at Halloween, people supposedly put needles inside of apples and candy bars full of needles and razor blades? That was Tony Fauci doing that. Everybody knows that now. Exposed. Welcome everybody, hit like and share. We're over here trying to figure out Tom's master plan. MySpace coming back. Actually, Burma's made a good point a couple years ago. He was like, what if everybody just went to MySpace? Of course, nobody did, but if you had gone to MySpace, everybody would have just they would have put all the pressure to put the censorship over on MySpace. And by the way, I am kind of pissed off because I don't get a silver play button, because not that I really give a shit about that stupid award, but it bugs me that they won't give it to me because I got demonetized because of one naughty word. One naughty word. So 10 years of busting ass on this platform to get to 100,000 subscribers, and one naughty word demonetized the channel and gave... I mean, it's just so ridiculous. Like, treating everybody like they're freaking 5-year-olds, which is on purpose. That's the whole psyop. And everybody knows that those screenshots... If you saw my tweet, I'd shared Sour Patch Lydia's screenshot of the governors that they had on all these different accounts, namely Libs of TikTok, for as an example. Remember that? And there's like 5 governors set on that so that it doesn't trend, it doesn't go anywhere. Right? Well, you know the same collusion between the intelligence fraud scam agencies and Twitter. You know it's not just Twitter. You think they only care about Twitter? No, of course it's going on with Facebook. Of course it's on YouTube. And everybody who's had a freaking YouTube channel for the last 10 years knows that. who's been talking about, real issues. It doesn't talk about freaking makeup and coon pottery or whatever. Because if you talk about makeup and coon pottery, or if you combine the two and put on your makeup in your freaking coon pod, they'll put you up at the top of the whole thing. You'll be the biggest YouTuber in forever. Right? And the more creeper you are, the better. Anyway. So, of course it's going on. And remember when everybody was talking about this in 2015-16? And the whole cacophony of the Cathedral of Cthulhu losers that runs everything. No, you're not being censored. What a bunch of baloney tinfoil hats. Nobody's being censored. What? My freaking channel got demonetized. Not that I even care about that, because it ended up in the long run actually being better to be on Rockfin, by the way. I've made out way better being on Rockfin than this stupid platform, right? Shout out to Rockfin. Sign up over at Rockfin is free. Link in the description. You're not getting censored. My website was deleted the very hour Lord Voldemort was deleted. What are you talking about? Literally the same hour. Across all the platforms. Now, I had not even been on or hosted the 4th hour of Lord V at that point. But for some reason, I just got classed in this whole grouping, you see. And all these phony blue check mark fraud quote journalists, right? All a bunch of paid off nobodies that suck at journalism anyway. That they can't even do journalism. They were all shouting everybody down. Oh, it doesn't exist. Now, let me give you another example of this. Right around that same time, 2016, 15, 16. So I had just read and done my talk on Jonas Salk's books, right? Survival of the Wisest, Man Unfolding. And in the Jonas Salk book, he says that everybody will be experimented on with, you know what's? The stabby stab. And these blue check marks came at me back at that time. I had a much smaller profile at the time. I had probably 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers at the time. On Twitter, I'm saying, right? And so all these blue check marks came at me for posting that back at the time. And one of the blue check marks was the Daily Beast's official doctor. Okay, so the Daily Beast has an official doctor, right? Whatever that means. So you know this is a bunch of bull crap. And he starts tweeting at me. I kid you not. Probably still there unless, unless he deleted his tweets or something. I don't know. I kid you not. This is here's how I experienced the gaslighting firsthand. And by the way, we've been talking about gaslighting. My first talk on Esoteric Hollywood was about Gaslight, the movie, and how we get gaslit in 2015. So don't nobody come telling me you're just repeating gaslighting because it's a meme. Go look up my first talk on Esoteric Hollywood at the Secret Space Program Conference. It's still on YouTube from 2015. And I talked about gaslighting and how the system uses psychological warfare to gaslight us. Now everybody's talking about this. So yeah, I talked about it 7 years ago on my first talk. My first public lecture. Go listen to it. Go watch it. It's fun. And this doctor for the Daily Beast is literally tweeting at me that Jonas Salk has no books about these things. There is no book called Survival of the Wisest. It doesn't exist. You are making these things up. And I'm like, sharing him the links from Amazon for the book. And he's just like, that doesn't exist. You have made this up. It doesn't exist. You're making, it's like the level of what these people will do is amazing. And then when you get into PsyOps, when you study this, that is a technique. And it's not just gaslighting. I mean, that's what it is like at a basic level. Gaslighting! Remember all the vegans that would argue with Tristan? Remember when we were doing all those debates with me and Tristan against the vegans? And the vegans were like, everything is gaslighting. Remember that? You're gaslighting! Remember that one Irish, gaunt, gray-faced, zombie-faced vegan dude? The bald dude? He literally looked green in all his videos. It's like he's eating so much kale, he is green. Remember that guy? I don't remember his name. It's a funny, stupid-ass name, too, but Tristan would remember it. I can't remember it. Anyway, But that guy would always be like, you're gaslighting. If you disagree, that's gaslighting. No, disagreeing with you is not gaslighting, dummy. Gaslighting is like lying to my face about the freaking thing that's in front of my face. I've got the freaking book in front of my face. The Jonas Salk book about stabbies and experimenting on everyone through them. It's not my fault that it's out of print, but it does exist. It's a real book. That talk got a lot of views, right? And I had to make it private because it was getting, well, they were going to take it down. Goji Man, that's him. Good job, Block Party Vintage. That's him. Goji Mom. Goji Mom, not man. Isn't a mum a plant? Remember when you ask a girl out to homecoming, you got to go get a mum? So that makes sense because he eats plants, right? Why do they not care about plant lives? Do plant lives not matter, by the way, vegans? Who says sentience is what matters? And by the way, don't a bunch of New Agers say that plants are sentient? So why are you eating sentient things? Hypocrite. Anyway, remember how we talked about with Tristan years ago? That veganism was an engineered planned thing? One of the first, so Tristan had me on for the first time in 2018, and that's what we talked about. Social engineering through food. Right? And Tristan was the first person I ever heard. He was before everybody else talking about how veganism was being tied into social engineering and that they would start pushing fake meat. Tristan was saying that in 2016-17. First interview we did was about that. Now here we are. And look at all these goobers on YouTube that have still, millions of views. How many vegan gains? I don't know how many views he has or whatever. But, I mean, this stuff is unbelievable garbage, like what they're trying to convince you of. And it's all tied in together. And it's, if you look at the Stanford research papers from the 1970s, that's what they said they would do. It's in Esselin's Tavistock book, and it's also in Global Elite writer, what's his name? Future Shock dude. I just went blank. Who's the Future Shock dude? All my audience is smart and nice. So y'all would be smart enough and nice enough. Nice, baby. To put it in the chat. I just went blank on that dude. I can see the book over there, but I can't see his name. He's one of the global elites. He's written a million of these Kissinger level books. But he says we will tie in veganism with anarcho movements to socially engineer people to no longer want to live the old wasteful lifestyle, right? Toffler, thank you, Robert. Yeah, Alvin Toffler, right? Future Shock, all that stuff. He talked about veganism back in the late 70s, early 80s and how they would use that, as does the Esselin Tavistock book. We'll use veganism, libertarian crap, and we'll engineer people into alternative lifestyles, mainly through diet. Shocker, what do you know? 2 years ago? Badonkse and Jay-Z, cover of everything, whatever, Rolling Stone, I don't remember, Economist magazine, all this nonsense. We're vegans now. Free, you get free Beyonce tickets if you go vegan, dog. They're not freaking vegan. And by the way, how many of these people who are supposed to be vegans have been exposed as not really vegan? Like half of them. A bunch of con men and frauds. Like scammers to the max, dude. Anyway, remember that debate with Vegan Gains? And people were like, you really upset me because you did not perform appropriately in that debate. Well, that was not an appropriate opponent. That was not a serious opponent. Those people were clowns. So you come at me with clown face, you get clown face in return. It's a clown eye for a clown eye. Clown nose for a clown nose. That's the Lex Clownionis law. Get it? Lex Talionis. That's the Lex Clownionis law. Eye for an eye. Clown nose for a clown nose. So when those vegan clowns came up in that debate, which actually got a lot of views because Vegan Gains put on his channel, Tristan put on his channel, I put on my channel. So that ended up, which I didn't expect, getting lots of views. And it's not a very good debate because they refuse to debate anything beyond their narrow parameters of whether veganism is ethical or not. And can you talk about logic apart from metaphysics, which I didn't concede, and so we never actually got anywhere other than them just being completely acting like freaking vegetables. So you are what you eat. Sit down and shut up. So anyway, just to catch you guys back up, and then we will be going to the Q&A. I do want to go through a few things here that have been on my mind this week. If you would hit like and share, welcome everybody. Now, isn't it funny that here's the weird thing about all this. If I do a live stream where I freestyle rap for 3 hours, I get $300. Right? But I get half the views. If I do a live stream about the issues, I get way fewer super chats and like double the views. So it's the mysteries of the internet. But if you do want to support my live streams and this podcast, this whatever you want to call it, stream of consciousness, insanity, and madness, you can do so by using that Streamlabs link right there. And we're going to get to some of these clips. I put my clip into the gun and it goes brah, brah. Not those kinds of clips. Even though I did trigger some people. Y'all see how many boomers were triggered by my finger being on the trigger of that new gun I got? Whoa, dude, talk about, if you saw my Instagram, that was comedy gold, dude. There was probably 50, so there was hundreds of comments, maybe 200 comments, maybe more. Something in there. And the boomers were like, get your finger off a trigger, son. Mel having a meltdown in the comments. And so I put up the next picture with 3 fingers on the trigger. 3 sausage fingers, because one dude said I had sausage fingers. Which, to be fair, doesn't everybody's finger kind of look like a little sausage? Literally. Literally everybody's fingers look like little sausages. So you thought you were going to hurt my fingers. I mean, my feelings and my fingers. But you didn't. Because everybody's got sausage fingers. Just look, everyone look now at their fingers. Okay? And blur your eyes. I'll be dang, they look like sausages. They look like little Vienna wieners. So you didn't hurt my feelings. You just stated a fact, which everybody already knew. So it goes back on you, dummy. All right, where are we at? If you guys would hit like and share. Thank you for that super chat. We finally got one generous man in the audience. One of my favorites. One of my all-time most generousest. The mostest generous. Well, Emmanuel. This dude cracked me up. I just want to play this for the heck of it. No reason at all, but look at this dude. This is funny, and that's the only reason I'm playing. Then we're going to get to the JFK stuff, all the real nitty-gritty, vindicating me, everything I've said for years and years and years. Not just me, other people too, but all of us in this beloved community.
Not charcoal gray or dove white. And neighbors say it doesn't really fit into the Mountain View neighborhood in Pflugerville.
The Beetlejuice movie, or maybe Edward Scissorhands, just really different.
Emilio Rodriguez bought his house in November and painted it, well, pink. From the roof to the gutters, the color is Rodriguez's newfound obsession.
It's gonna just be...
This dude has to be a fan of this channel because I've been using this flamenco pink, right? I see, look at all them flamencos there. He's got one, it looks like 2 or 3 flamencos. Kind of turned long ways. I won't have to say I like this. I mean, this is so insane. I give this dude props. Shout out to Emilio. And yeah, keep them houses pink, boy.
Super pink. I'm gonna have pink spotlights on the trees, pink car.
I love how when they question him about it, he just upped the ante. He said, I'm gonna do everything else pink. I'm gonna have more pink spotlights, pink everything. And his boomer neighbors are freaking out.
I'll paint my wheelchair pink.
After a car accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down at 4 years old and dozens of surgeries as a teenager, he was left in a wheelchair. Rodriguez says the color helps brighten his day.
Look up at the pink house and be like, kind of calms me down a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, bright Miami Vice pink definitely calms you down. There we go. Look at that. Everybody's getting generous now. Damn, son. Throwing in fat super chats. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Now I'm gonna paint the house pink in honor of myself and Emilio.
But not everyone's down for the new look.
People say it looks like Pepto-Bismol, but I'm going for pink slime.
He says some people in the neighborhood aren't exactly thrilled about the new color scheme. Neighbors are complaining about the property values going down, that your home's affecting their property values. What do you think about that?
Can't buy it. There's no proof. Not one person's brought me proof yet.
Rodriguez.
I like his just straight logic right there, right? Where's the proof that the property values are going down? Nobody's brought it yet. Oh, he owned them all, dude. So this is gonna be a new trend. People are gonna start painting houses bright pink, and I'm for it. Let's do it, baby.
Says there's no homeowners association in the area.
Even if they made an HOA right here, I'm already grandfathered in. So
HOA, bunch of hoes and thoughts. Got a whole pink house. That's a hoe owners association house right there. And he's not violating the laws. He is keeping the laws by having a bright pink house. And I'm gonna make mine neon purple.
it's that homework was done way beforehand.
The house has piqued the curiosity of many people,
To each his own, and if that's what he likes, then.
including Emmanuel Alvarado, who lives a couple blocks down from the pink house. He stopped by Sunday to check it out
Definitely adding a twist to the neighborhood. There's no other house like this.
and says
He just needs to get all that junk out of the yard. What does he got? A bunch of Pepes? Glowing eye Pepes and roosters and owls. Okay. What in the world? Just get the junk out of the yard and it'd actually be pretty cool, honestly. Have a couple flamencos. That'd be all right.
supports the look.
I would suggest to the neighbors.
I mean, this is like kind of Tony Montana style, which we do advocate around here. Okay. I do advocate Tony Montana themed interior design and exterior design and flashy gaudiness, but get all the junk out of the yard, dude. It's not the pink house, it's the freaking looks like what I see when I drive 20 minutes outside of town in Tennessee, right? Everybody's got all this junk and crap in their yard, and it's like dude. Every house looks like a freaking swap meet. It's nasty. Anyway, this was just a little lighthearted fun for all you boys and girls out there. Support Emilio in the Pink House movement. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, I forgot to send the... So there was these posts from Whitney Webb and that Father Whiteford shared that I wanted to put up, but I forgot to send them to myself. So anyway, go follow Father John Whiteford on Telegram, and you'll see that he shared Whitney Webb talking about neocon CIA boomer era Team B enterprise. Okay, we've been talking about that for a long time. Not knocking Whitney Webb. I think she does great work. Talked with Richard the other day, Grove, and we might try to set up some kind of colloquium. That would be really cool. I don't know if he meant online or in person. Probably meant online, although in person stuff is a lot more fun than online stuff, but whatever. Not everybody can always do that. By the way, we do have a debate with Bryson Gray in person coming up. That's going to be fun. And that will be the I'm Doing Great podcast. So the same podcast that hosted the live debate that we just did in Nashville the other day, right? That's going to be airing in 2 days on their channel. So go to their channel because everybody's messaging me, well, I want to see it. Dude, I shared it in my community tab. So follow the community tab. And everybody should know by now, anything I'm involved in, I'm going to post it, right? So you guys will not be out of the loop if you follow my stuff. Because everybody sends a million DMs. Where is this? When did you do this? Where is this? Just follow me. I guarantee you, anything I'm involved in, I'm going to post it. Like 100%. Never fear. No fear. Remember the 90s? Remember no fear t-shirts, stickers? Did you not learn from the t-shirts and stickers all through the 90s to have no fear? So, biggest news story of ever, probably. Nobody even cares about it in the sense of what we all in alternative media, whatever you want to call this. I don't even know what it's called. What do we call it? Alternative media sounds so lame, right? It makes you think of alternative music, I'm not into mainstream or whatever. I'm like into alternative music. That's like bands that are not part of the system and they're not signed or whatever, like Nirvana. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not dissing Nirvana either, by the way. I think Kurt was got rid of, actually, by the way, which we've been talking about that for a long time too. But and then did you guys see that clip that surfaced of Kurt talking about human cargo? You understand what I'm saying? For this freaking... Nothing irritates me more than being an adult. I know a lot of you think that I'm not. There's a lot of debate out there on the internet. Is he actually an adult? Has he grown up? No, maybe. I don't know. But I feel like I'm a grown-ass man and I can't talk because this stupid-ass algorithm. How ridiculous is this? Again, we all know that the same governors on all the Twitter profiles exist on Facebook and YouTube. And we know it and you know it and they know we know it. So nobody buys your gaslighting anymore, goons. I should be sponsored by No Fear Clothing. I should be sponsored by Massimo, No Fear, and Big Johnson. And don't make me explain to you why I should be sponsored by Big Johnson. But I should also be sponsored by the Me Too movement's pink pussy hats. So that's fair and that's equal. So stop judging. And if I identify as having a giant vajaja, you can't judge me. Bigot. If you would, hit like and share. All right, so let's get to this. So Tucker covers bravely, and I appreciate this, what everybody who knew anything knew, right? So I'm not knocking that he covered it, but it's like, dude, everybody knows this, right? So, but I mean, amongst the normie world, no, right? I mean, this is like, whoa, this is, to a lot of people, this is edgy. And the most, I think, annoying thing about, especially boomers, is you could tell, I've been talking about this stuff to boomers since, when did I first get into this kind of information? 98, 99 was my first conspiracy book. Soon after the big event, the Big Nine, into that stuff. So consistently talking and discussing these issues since late 90s, early 2000s. And yes, I've talked about JFK because, like, boomers, it's like 3 conspiracies that they love, right? Aliens, JFK. But shit, maybe it's 2. Okay, so to the boomer world, there's just aliens and JFK, right? That's all you. That's the only things that they would entertain. And it was always like the Vietnam. Oh, Vietnam. That's the other one. Remember my character, Boomer Garcia? Oh, Vietnam, dude. Oh yeah, Vietnam. We was stationed over in Saigon. The My Lai massacre. I seen. Anyway, I'm not gonna do that character. We've done it. We've seen it. So that's the only thing that you can entertain as a boomer in this regard. But so for this to now be on the mainstream media, now they'll believe it. Well, that Tucker said it, I believe it. Oh, what about when I said it 15 years ago? Well, you ain't Tucker, and if you was so smart, you'd be on TV with a TV show. Yeah, that's how it works. Just whoever is the smartest automatically gets the TV show. Yeah, that's totally how media in America works. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stupid millennial and zoomer, and you'd be successful. And since you're not, well, then you're not as smart as you think you are, smarty pants. I don't see you on TV. And then when you get on TV, they don't even give a shit. Right? It's like, well, I guess you were right, but you still shouldn't be talking about it. You were an asshole about it. Yeah, whatever. It's just weird. It's just weird. The gap between generations is weird. And then boomers get mad when I make these jokes, and I'm like, it's just jokes. It's just riffing. It's commentary. Don't get your feelings hurt. Why are you getting your feelings hurt? And by the way, it doesn't work that way, that the smartest, hardest working people rise to the cream rises to the top. And sometimes, but not all the time. And a lot of times there's a bunch of freaking scammery. You think that the A-list girls in Hollywood, Did they get there because they were the best actresses? Or was they feeling up on Harvard Weinstein's egg-shaped thingamajiggy? Was that how it works? I love the idea that the boomer is going to tell us how it works when he's like blue-collar, middle-class dude. Well, I'm going to tell you how it works. Oh, really? Do you have millions of dollars in your portfolio? Do you have a show? Okay, so you don't actually know how it works either, do you? Because you're in no better straits than I am. I got a 401k. Well, that's all going to go away anyway, so you don't actually have a 401k. Ooh, burn. Burnt toast. Sick burn, dude. I'm just kidding, boomers. I love you. It's all jokes. Don't get your feelings hurt. Everybody gets so sensitive. Everything. Oh, can't say that. How dare you make jokes? Meanwhile, well, here's the other thing too. Boomers get really mad over this stuff. In the 80s and 90s, when you go to a comedy club, which is when boomers went to comedy clubs. Remember the comedy clubs? Remember those days? The comedians would make fun of you. They would roast you. That happened all the way up into the 2000s. My brother, who's not a boomer but millennial, he went to Bonnaroo, and Jeffrey Ross roasted him for, I don't know, 5 minutes. And everybody thought it was funny. Nowadays, if you try to roast somebody, they'd try to get you deplatformed, and they want to destroy your life. It's crazy. It's like, what? What has happened? People are going nuts. And I think it's just people are socially engineered. They're going nuts. And things like veganism, things like the social media clampdown, all of this is just manifestation of everybody's going nuts. I made a video about that, 2 years ago. Everybody's going crazy bonkers. Why? Well, multiple reasons. All the stuff we talk about, and the cultural social engineering, and the drugging of the population. When I put that MKUltra tweet out a couple days ago, some know-it-all was like, it doesn't work like that. That's not reality. You're some weird tinfoil idealist who thinks that there's some master plan. Dude, I've read the frickin' PSYOPs documents. These people don't even know that trolling is a psy-war technique. And by the way, I don't care if you troll. It's fun to troll. I troll people sometimes. So what? It's not all trolling, dummy, that is a psyop. But NATO's psyop document has a whole chapter section on trolling as psy-war to create apathy amongst ideological opponents. So if they've gotten to the level of controlling dialogue and setting up NATO troll operations that are bots and can troll via bot, sock puppets, okay, then yes, it is that sophisticated, dummy. It's not that sophisticated. It's not a conspiracy. Like, what is the antipathy to what is with this? It's not a conspiracy. This other insane goober, what's his name? Logo Daedalus. Did you see that interaction with that goofus? Holy cow, dude. That guy is nuts. And it always happens that when I interact with these people on Twitter, I don't know that they're actually nuts. So I should just start defaulting to, okay, the person that I'm interacting with is literally nuts. That should be the new default. Let me put that button on right now. Put the default nuts button on. Okay, now everyone I interact with, default nuts. There we go. Problem solved. And this dude is like trying to get Owen Cyclops to debate him constantly. Owen Cyclops doesn't care about debating him. I asked the dude to debate. He says, I don't do debates. Even after trying to get the other dude to debate. And then in the DMs, nobody believed it. People were like, he didn't really say that. He couldn't have been that insufferable. Oh, yes, he was. What does he say in DMs? I do not debate, sir. I am a poet. And I'm like, it's not a troll because it's too high IQ to be a troll. This is a real dude. Unless he's just doing like the long game super troll, which I did have a friend who did that, by the way. I had a friend who created a fake neocon account and he ran it for like 10 years. It was hilarious. Lloyd Johnsonius. It's like the greatest long game troll of a neocon fake account. He did that back in I think he started in 2008. He created that, went all the way to like a few years ago. So, and then finally, I think Facebook deleted Lloyd Johnsonius. That was a classic troll. It was awesome. Anyway, that dude was nuts. And then he made up his own sect. It's always these people who made up their own sect, and they're like total delusion, thinking that. Anyway, it's not even worth going into. Let's talk about this because this is a huge vindication. So, and it's weird too because the fourth hour of Lord V that I did 2 years ago, what was it about? It was about this. And by the way, I'm not even some big JFK researcher person. Pretty obvious to me early on that it's not what the government said, and pretty obvious that it was certain foreign governments and the CIA colluding, and the organized crime angle. Do people not know that RFK had hearings about this? And all of that came out with Carlos Marcello? Even Bill O'Reilly. Does everybody remember this? Let's see if I can find that. People don't know that Bill O'Reilly covered this back in the day before I guess he figured out that it's much more lucrative to cover watered down gibberish dishwater leftover dishwater information than it is to talk about anything substantial. So this should come up. Maybe I should play this first. Don't tell me they took that thing down. That was a crucial clip. We'll do it live. Not that one. Let's see. Let's try Bill O'Reilly and JFK. And it was remember that old 80s 90s Inside Edition, remember that from the 90s? This was really a crime to destroy all of these channels and the research and the work that people did over the years. And to promote all this goblin gibberish of mainstream stuff, and you can never find any of this stuff anymore. It's a Maoist level crime. I'm not joking. Like, these people need to be held accountable for. Let's see, Frank Sturgis, is that it? That's about Watergate. That's not it. But it is one of these old Inside Edition clips. Anyway, I guess they've scrubbed it, or you'll never be able to find it in the buried in the algorithm. But O'Reilly covered Carlos Marcello and the mafia angle. And once that came out, that pretty much, to anybody who knew anything about this, like, pretty much gave everybody the overall picture of what was going on, right? Maybe if I click this, it'll pop up. Let's see. This old one here.
They were.
And the JFK thing is not even a thing we have to go a million books into. People are like, oh, we'll never figure it out. We don't have to go that far into it. It's like, obviously, what Tucker's going to talk about here. All right, so we'll never find that. However, I did save it, so it might be saved in my history. Anyway, you can take my word for it that if somebody in the chat, one of my excellent mods, if you can find the O'Reilly clip from Inside Edition talking about organized crime and the JFK assassination, Carlos Marcello, and RFK too, because Carlos Marcello had it out for RFK because RFK had him exiled to Guam or somewhere. Right? Does everybody know about this? It's pretty wild. But when you know about the mafia angle, it's like, yeah, obviously that's what it was. Anyway, so let's listen to this.
Tonight, so not long after Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald on camera in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters, a lot of Americans started to have some questions about the Kennedy assassination. It was, you'd have to admit, a pretty extraordinary sequence of events. A lone gunman murders the President of the United States, and then, less than 48 hours later, that lone gunman is himself murdered by another lone gunman. What are the odds of that? It's one thing if you get struck by lightning, rare but possible.
And does everybody know that Jack Ruby was from the mafia? Does everybody know that he co-owned a strip club with Carlos Marcello? Does everybody know that Oswald's roommate was for a time, I think for a time he lived with Carlos Marcello or one of his bookies or something. Oh, none of that matters, right? None of that's even substantial. And because the FBI had acquired all of the recordings of the mobsters cheering when JFK was shot, they couldn't admit that as evidence, right? So it was never admitted as evidence, and probably, what's his face? Probably Hoover was blackmailed, and that's why it wasn't admitted, right? So now that we're, way past the expiration date of all this BS about classified documents, then, and by the way, the actual documents aren't released yet. They're redacting them, I'm sure. And that's why Tucker will admit that he talked to somebody who read them or saw them directly. But everybody who knows anything, who has any IQ above room temperature and isn't a completely brainwashed boomer, already knew this, right? I mean, this isn't even, I'm not knocking Tucker or anybody. I think it's great that he covered this. And, he's very good at covering what his audience is able to accept. But it's just like, come on, man. Like everybody, not you, Tucker, but everybody else, like all the other people out there who, give me so much guff over the years for talking about this stuff. It's like after like the 15th, 20th vindication, don't you think maybe I know a little bit about what I'm talking about? And by the way, if the government lied about this, do you think maybe they lied about some other things? Maybe they lied about Russian collusion. So if they lied about JFK and they lied about weapons of mass destruction and they lied about Russian collusion, maybe they lied about a Big 9 event you might have heard of. Is that possible? Or no, they wouldn't lie about that one. That one's all true.
But if every member of your family also gets struck by lightning all on different days, you might begin to suspect these are not entirely natural events. But oh, replied the U.S. government, they are. This bizarre chain of killings was all entirely natural. So less than a year after the JFK assassination, the Johnson White House released something called the Warren Commission Report. And the report concluded that while their motives remained unclear, both Lee Oswald and Jack Ruby had acted alone. No one helped them. There was no conspiracy of any kind. Case closed. Time to move on. And many Americans did move on. At the time, they had no idea how shoddy and corrupt the Warren Commission was. It would be nearly 50 years before the CIA admitted under duress that, in fact, it had withheld information from investigators about its relationship with Lee Harvey Oswald. But even then, at the time, before that was known, the government's explanation didn't seem entirely plausible, and some people started asking obvious questions about it. It was at that point,
oh, you're a pattern noticer. I'm noticing. I'm patterning. Right? You're not supposed to do that. There are no patterns. You shouldn't notice anything, and you're morally bad if you notice patterns. Right? The dystopia is here. Right? We live in the dystopia. I mean, just the governors on everybody's Twitter profile, right? Boom, there you go. We're in the dystopia. It's here. It's Fahrenheit 451. It's Brave New World 1984, right there.
Americans started to doubt the official story that the term conspiracy theory entered our lexicon. As Professor Lance DeHaven Smith points out in his book on the subject, the term conspiracy theory did not exist as a phrase in everyday American conversation before.
Now, does everybody know this by now? Hopefully. I know this is to my audience like 101. But the term conspiracy theory became a weaponized term right there. Does everybody know this? It was literally in the CIA documents as a term to demonize anyone who questioned the event. You become a, quote, conspiracy theorist. And still to this day, that is a predominant it's still a weaponized term to castigate, demonize, and marginalize anybody who questions anything.
1964. In 1964, the year the Warren Commission issued its report, the New York Times published 5 stories in which conspiracy theory appeared. Now today, of course, the term conspiracy theory appears in pretty much every New York Times story about American politics.
Now, keep in mind the doublethink involved in this. The establishment tells you that conspiracy theories are absurd. They're the work of crackpots. It's people who have schizophrenia and mental problems. As they print in the same editions of New York Times and whatever, the conspiracy that Trump and Russia colluded to get Trump elected, which they still promote, even though it's been completely debunked. I made videos and did talks and wrote articles at the time that this came out, calling it bunk, and consistently debunked it throughout the last 7 years. Not 7 years, 2016, 17, 6 years, 5 years. You can go back to WikiLeaks, Vault 7, all those old videos I did. The videos calling out Q crap and talking about how nonsensical that was. We talked about this ad nauseum. I did like 3-hour breakdowns of how Russia collusion was all just made up nonsense. And then it all came out, and that is the justification. That's why this matters. Remember, I know most people, nobody cares about Russia collusion anymore, but that was the justification for all of the banning and censoring and all the governors on all the platforms. And it is still the justification. And it's all baloney. So how can anyone not see this? I mean, I'm baffled that anyone can't see this, right? And it's weird because if you know basic logic, you can see that all of this was just gibberish nonsense churned out by the mainstream media to manipulate people on the basis of emotion. It's nothing to do with rational thinking, all to do with emotion, and all to do with creating the image of a supervillain, right? And Trump is goofy, okay? I don't really care what Trump does. It's not even that big of a deal to me. But the idea that he's the supervillain who colluded with Russia is so silly and so dumb, all based on the Steele dossier, which is obviously a fake, admitted fake, made up thing. And that was a justification because of the Russian bots, which were not actually Russian bots. They were a bot farmed out by Western groups in, what was it, Montenegro, something like that. It was all fake.
It's wielded, now as then, as a weapon against anyone who asks questions the government doesn't feel like answering.
And the reason I brought up Vault 7 is that they can spoof any IP address. Don't we all know this by now? Well, of course, the public doesn't really know that. And so when the mass media says, Russian bot farms in Macedonia, that can be spoofed from anywhere. Who even knows if that even existed? It's probably some fat dude in a basement somewhere in Arizona. And Patrick did a whole 21st Century Wire. He did a whole breakdown of The Guardian touted one of the people that was behind the troll farms. They did a whole write-up. I think The Intercept covered it too, but Patrick had a whole thing on that because The Guardian was touting him as a hero for creating bot farms to run these psyops to promote the notion of the Russia stuff. Russia's got bot farms promoting Trump. It was all fake, run by this fat dude.
But despite 60
who wasn't in Russia
of name calling, those questions have not disappeared. In fact, they have multiplied with time. And here's one of them. In April of 1964, a psychiatrist called Louis Joylin West visited Jack Ruby in his isolation cell in a Dallas jail. According to West's written assessment, he found that Jack Ruby was, quote, technically insane and in need of immediate psychiatric hospitalization. Those are conclusions that, puzzlingly, no one who had spoken to Jack Ruby previously had reached. Ruby had seemed perfectly sane to the people who knew him. Louis Joylin West pronounced him crazy.
Now, does everybody know who Joylin West is? I mean, anybody in our sphere who has talked about MKUltra, you're going to come across Dr. Louis Joylin West because he is one of the key MKUltra doctors. Who doesn't know this? We have lectured on this since 2014. Let's look at my first MKUltra talk. When was it? 2015. So I take that back. 2015. The Search for the Manchurian Candidate, the famous John Marks book. There's my full half of the breakdown that I did back in 2015. And of course, he talks about Joylin West. Absolutely. And then we did a breakdown a couple years later of Walter Bowert's famous book. Right, so these are like the classics of MKUltra that came out in late 70s, early 80s. So there's the Boer analysis, right? We've broken down the entire books. We've done this for a long time. We also broke down the sections on Bluebird and MK Ultra Monarch stuff in Estelin's book, I think is what this talk is on. And we did that in 2000. When was that? 2017. All right, so Jolyon West isn't just the guy who shows up with all of these high-profile people in terms of assassinations. He also pops up with serial killers. Jolyon West was involved in dosing elephants at the zoo for MKUltra experiments. Hey, Jamie, can you bring me the Jose Delgado book off of your shelf? So, yeah, Dr. Jolyon West is a key figure in this, and he pops up as the official psychiatrist to all of these high-profile people. Nobody thinks that's suspicious, even though Tom O'Neill just put out a book about Manson and this kind of stuff. Okay, I mean, all this stuff is obvious. That's what I'm trying to say.
But what West did not say was that he was working for the CIA at the time. Louis Joylin West was a contract psychiatrist for the spy agency. He was also an expert on mind control and a prominent player in the now infamous MKUltra program, in which the CIA gave powerful psychiatric drugs to Americans without their knowledge.
Operation Midnight Climax. What? Yeah, do people not realize these are real things? These are real books? Maybe you're going to gaslight me like the Daily Beast doctor did. Those do not exist. You have made this in Photoshop this morning and put it on top of a book. By the way, this is the same publisher that publishes Jonas Salk. What do you know? Look at that. MKUltra doctor himself, Jose Delgado, physical control of the mind. Doesn't exist. Tinfoil hat, not a real thing. And here he's got the freaking pictures of him torturing the kitties. Meow! Meow! Putting putting RFID chips in the heads of the kitties. There's a freaking monkey with the chip in his brain in the 50s, 60s. We've covered all these books. By the way, I haven't covered this whole book, but I covered all the John C. Lilly books. Boy, is that dude. The guy with the crush on dolphins, who has an eros coitus attraction to dolphins. These people are nuts, okay? We're talking about people who are into dolphins, dude. The people who designed the modern world that we're living into, the dystopia, they want dolphins. I'm not kidding. These people are insane. Grody old John C. Lilly would get chubbies swimming with dolphins. Yeah, we should let him design the future. Yeah, let the psychonauts design the future, man. Sweet, dude, it's gonna be a party, Val style. Wow. Look at these poor monkeys, dude. We're the animal rights people, by the way. Animal rights people are over here trying to promote a bunch of vegan crap. Hey, what about this? Why don't you talk about real stuff like this? So does everybody see this is a real book? And the mainstream media and all these blue checkmark journalists, they don't know anything. They're dumb, right? But they serve people who are not dumb that treat everybody else as dumb because most people are acting dumb. Stop acting dumb. That's the solution to all this. Stop being dumb. How about that? Right? Easy solution. Quit being a retard. Who is the retard? Well, the people who constantly tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. When I sit here with all the freaking books, which I've read and lectured through for 6 years. Hey, Jamie, come here. Would you hand me Dolphin Lord John C. Lilly's books, please? Because I want to show the pictures of him putting the things in the heads of the animals, just like Dr. Jose Delgado. If you go right here, you'll see, yeah, right there in that section, you'll see get me all the John C. Lilly books, including the biography. There's metaprogramming and the biography. Programming and metaprogramming the human biocomputer and his stupid biography, which, by the way, touts people like Crowley. Okay, so did you know Tim Leary, who wrote the intro for John C. Lilly, Dolphin Lord Lilly, MK Ultra Doctor? Who do you think wrote the introduction to this? Oh, it was Tim Leary. And who does he tout? Who does he say that John C. Lilly is akin to? He's the new Aleister Crowley. Look at that. See that? You think I'm still making? Is it all made up? It's all fake. Ooh, Jamie has a special little secret sexual thing here. Ooh, look at this. It's getting hot up in here. I didn't even know she had this. John C. Lilly's little book on dolphins. What is this, fan fiction? Remember that guy that writes the novels about haunted vaginas? Remember that? Everybody's laughing about that a few years ago. It's like John C. Lilly's doing dolphin fanfic. I didn't even know this existed. And by the way, the movie with Flipper, there's a movie with George C. Scott, Day of the Dolphin. That's based on John C. Lilly stuff. And the movie with, I cannot keep my Quaids separate. All of the Quaids run together in my head. All the Quaids. Dennis Quaid or William Hurt? William Hurt plays John C. Lilly in Altered States. By the way, it comes up in here. Nobody knows this. We've covered all this for years. Look, here is in 1950s, John C. Lilly's plans for brain chips. See that? There's a brain. Here are the actual chips, or I should say RFID, the predecessor to the brain chip in John C. Lilly's biography in the 1950s. And educated, smart people, they laugh at this. They think this is made up and doesn't exist. I mean, I've read his books, man. Here's Programming and Metaprogramming in the Human Biocomputer, when he talks about giving children LSD and re-patterning and re-imprinting and reprogramming them. Now, if you know about Alfred Kinsey, if Alfred Kinsey was doing that, why is it strange to you that this guy would be doing it? I mean, people are so freaking naive. It makes me mad. And they get mad at people like us who talk about the things that are in the books.
So of all the psychiatrists in the world, what in the world was this guy doing in Jack Ruby's prison cell? The media did not seem interested in finding out. In fact, the New York Times, in an extensive 1999 obituary of West, never mentioned the fact that he had worked for the CIA, much less his time in Jack Ruby's cell, which seems relevant. So you can see why non-crazy...
So what is in these documents, apparently, according to the person that Tucker talked to, has seen them. We haven't seen them because they're not actually released yet. They're being redacted. Everybody knows this because they're going to black out anything that tells real data. So they're just going to give a little leak, a little bit of, oh, okay, haha, here, we'll throw you a bone. Look, we all knew this. This is the material that's in the Boert book and that's in the John Marks book. Not about JFK, but about MK Ultra, right? Again, we all knew this.
People would wonder about what really happened. And of course, many have wondered. In 1976, long forgotten, the House of Representatives impaneled a special committee to reinvestigate the JFK assassination.
That's what I was talking about. This is the Carlos Marcello information. This is what O'Reilly covered back in the 80s on Inside Edition.
Their bipartisan conclusion? Jack Kennedy was almost certainly murdered as the result of a conspiracy.
Yeah. Again, nobody knows about these hearings. Again, the first time I did Lord V 2 years ago, this is what I talked about.
But the question is, a conspiracy by whom? Well, the obvious suspect would be the CIA. Why else would the agency withhold critical evidence from investigators? Is there a benign explanation for that, for maintaining this level of secrecy for this many years? Not that we're aware of. And it is illegal. In 1992, Congress passed the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act, And that act mandated full disclosure of all documents by 2017, 54 years after JFK was killed. The last administration promised to comply fully with that law, but under intense pressure from CIA Director Mike Pompeo, withheld in the end thousands of pages of CIA documents. Today, this afternoon, the Biden administration did exactly the same thing. That would be thousands of pages of documents after nearly 60 years, after the death of every single person involved. But we still can't see them. Clearly, it's not to protect any person, they're all dead. It's to protect an institution. But why? Well, today we decided to find out. We spoke to someone who had access to these still hidden CIA documents, a person who was deeply familiar with what they contain. We asked this person directly, did the CIA have a hand in the murder of John F. Kennedy, an American president? And here's the reply we received verbatim. Quote, "The answer is yes. I believe they were involved. It's a whole different country from what we thought it was. It's all fake."
Where are my apologies? Yeah, again, how much shit have I received from people over the years? Years of shit from people for even something so obvious as this. Now, it's a whole other level with the MK Ultra stuff, all the shit I've gotten from people over that. And why do I get all that? Because it's right. And what's the problem? It's not my problem that this is the case, right? If you can't accept what is the case, that's your problem, not my problem. And I haven't done anything wrong by talking about what is the case. So as much as anybody wants to paint me as a bad person, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, you don't know what you're talking about, it doesn't exist. Yeah, it does. And I was right. And guess what? I'm right about other things too. Like the Big Nine. Uh-oh. So if we live in a whole different country from what we were told, oh, maybe some other things are lies. Is that possible? I'm asking you, is it possible? I know none of you boomers out there believe it, but is it possible? Boomers and Gen X, right? They can't believe this stuff. But there's a lot of shitty millennials too that sneer and mock at this stuff and act like they're like super smart and beyond any of this stuff. And it's always people who have never written a college paper or read a single book on this topic who sneer and mock at this stuff amongst the millennials and Zoomers.
It's hard to imagine a more jarring response than that. Again, this is not a, quote, conspiracy theorist that we spoke to. Not even close. This is someone with direct knowledge of the information that once again is being withheld.
What about the people in the Orthodox Church who have called me out, criticized me, threatened me for various reasons in different ways? Not physical threats, but trying, oh, we're going to go after him, right? Father Damick, AFR, other normie priests. But where's my apologies for this kind of stuff? I don't expect to get it, and I don't have any desire necessarily even to speak to any of those people. But notice that what I think the most annoying part of all this is that in a lot of the discussions about this stuff, what usually happens is you talk about something like this, and the immediate response from another person is how and why you're a piece of crap. That's the most infuriating thing, because it's like, well, even if I'm the worst person out there, that's still a fallacy because it doesn't have anything to do with whether this is true or false. So I could be Judas. But if Judas popped into the room here and said, hey, guess what? The CIA was involved in JFK. Right? Would that make it not true because Judas said it? I mean, how dumb are you people out there who think that way? And literally a lot of people do. Right? The modus operandi of the average left person, they really think that truth is determined by consensus or by the person saying it. I mean, that's how dumb they are, right? And that's why they think that if you can show somebody to be a bad person, that somehow refutes the information. That's a fallacy, dummy. It has nothing to do with whether it's true or false. But that's how those people think, because they think that Truth is determined by consensus. You just make it true if you have enough people saying it. That's literally how just mentally ill those people are. Unbelievably just out to lunch, dude. Gone. So for them, if you say something and they go after and try to explain how much of a piece of crap you are, for them, that's refuting you. That's how these people think. Because it's all, power dynamics. It's nothing to do with truth. It's just power, oppressor, and oppressed dynamics. Power dynamics. That's what they think. Truth is what people in power say. So if they destroy you and they become in power, they make truth. That's how they view it. Isn't that crazy? That's insane. But that's why they love tyranny. That's why they love dictators and destroying and smashing people, because leftism ends in nihilism, and nihilism ends in this pure will to power. Does that make sense? Do you understand that? By the way, that's why philosophy matters.
From the American public. And the answer we received was unequivocal. Yes, the CIA was involved in the assassination of the president.
Now, I'm sure that the mental gymnastics explainers, it's just a source, it's not true. So, yeah, come on. It's going to be true. We all know it's true, right? And the mere fact that nobody else, except for Tucker, in any of the media covers this, also proves the conspiracy. Because this should be like the biggest story out there. And it's completely ignored. Because if this was discussed, then it would bring into question the regime and the power structure behind the regime. And that's what can't be questioned. You can debate all day long about who's sleeping with who and who's wearing what and who did what on what dumb show and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, the technocracy and its agenda always march forward. Why is that? Because you can't go into who really runs things. That's why.
Now, some people will not be surprised to hear that. They suspected it all along. But no matter how you feel about or what you thought about the Kennedy assassination, pause to consider what this means. It means that within the U.S. government, there are forces wholly beyond democratic control.
Oh, you mean like what Carol Quigley wrote a giant book about as the archivist and historian for the CFR, which I lectured through that entire 1,300-page book 6 years ago? Tragedy and Hope, written for CIA section chiefs to understand why, during the Cold War, the deep state funded both socialist and leftist, liberal, and democratic causes. Yeah, because that's written for people in the power structure. That's written for academics, not for you people. Okay, so I come from the academic realm. I don't like the academic realm. It's a bunch of creeps. They have a huge part in destroying the country. Academia does, by design. And I can't stand those people. But I can tell you, being around academics and coming from that realm, that the literature of academia and scholarly circles talks about all of this openly. And the reason they don't care about it being open is that they know that nobody's going to read that stuff and do anything. And so, like, people who are new to this, the first low IQ response I get all the time, why would they write about it if it's a conspiracy? They get caught. Blah. Dude, how dumb are you? That is so stupid. First of all, it's a PSYOP technique called gaslighting to tell you what you're going to do. Think about a player. A player. What does a skilled player do? A skilled player says, hey, baby, I'm about to cheat on your ass tonight. And then he goes and cheats. And then when she calls him out, why you cheat on me? He says, girl, I didn't cheat on you. And he starts singing Shaggy. It wasn't me. That's called gaslighting. to quote the vegans. Gaslighting. That's a technique. And yes, it's real. And yes, you get gaslighted every day, all day long in the media. And they know what they're doing. Not the dummy blue checkmark people. They're dumb. They don't know anything. The people above them that give the money and pay and control all this jibber jabber nonsense. Again, what did we all say about Twitter and these things? They're being censored and run in the background by intel people. Oh, what do you know? It's all out there. Remember, Lord Voldemort confronted that one dude, the CNN dude. I think it was a CNN. It was a CNN dude, wasn't it? Remember that when he confronted? That's why he was taken off of Twitter. It didn't have anything to do with other stuff. It was all about that because AJ knew about that program set up in Twitter. And guess what? It's in all the other ones. That's why. So not only are you being lied to, you're being lied to and controlled on all the platforms. And that's why they set up these platforms. Silicon Valley is a creation of the deep state. Yes, it has cool stuff. Ooh, neat. Apps. Whoa, dude. Crypto. Oh, yeah. And I like crypto. I like Bitcoin, right? But as even PKD knew, who was hanging out with Silicon Valley people, part of the reason he went nuts, I think, not just drugs, but he went nuts because he saw what they were going to do with Silicon Valley. Put us into this freaking Fahrenheit 451 coon pod tard dystopia that we're going into.
These forces are more powerful than the elected officials that supposedly oversee them. These forces can affect election outcomes. They can even hide their complicity in the murder of an American president. In other words, they can do pretty much anything they want. They constitute a government within a government, mocking by their very existence the idea of democracy. As cynical as we have become...
Yeah, now, what is this? Oh, what do you know? How many years ago was this? By the way, it's not always right on YouTube. This is actually 7 years ago. Think tanks, NGOs, foundations, oligarchs planning our future. 7 years ago. Interview. Go watch this. Go listen to this. Totally vindicated. And by the way, it's way worse than what you're being told on this, on Tucker. This is level 1. Welcome to Conspiracy World. This is level 1. I'm here to give you your orientation. Please pull out your tinfoil hats as we move through the ride. Keep your hands and your feet inside the vehicle. They will be removed. I mean, just think about 1984, right? What does Ratius say in his book? What's 1984 about? Fabian socialists. Orwell was writing about the people running the British Empire at that time, who are now, through the National Security Act, the people that set up and run America's deep state. Same people. British intelligence set up American intelligence. 1942, 1947. National Security Act, right? OSS, CIA. And it's those people and the Galen Otto Skorzeny network that train and set up other networks and groups that begin with an M that I can't talk about, which you know what I mean. So British intelligence is the background to this stuff. And that is a front for Cecil Rhodes and other powerful families. J.P. Morgan and others. You can figure out who all I'm talking about. What powerful elite families? This is mainline history. This isn't conspiracy stuff. Mainline academic history. If you go to a university and you take modern European history and you take French Revolution like I did, this all comes up in mainline history. And if you go talk about it, you're an evil, bad person for talking about the things that are openly discussed in open academic texts. So I had a graduate class on the history of the French Revolution. Wasn't taught by a conspiracy theorist. Taught by a modern European historian. I have a shelf on the French Revolution and its history. In fact, the French Revolution is one of the most written about things in history. Napoleon and the French Revolution, I think, are the two of the most written about things. Like you'd never read all the books on those, right? But we don't have to go too deep into it because I can go read the historians of the elite, like Carol Quigley, who goes into the history of the French Revolution and tells you who was involved in funding that stuff. Swiss banking interests, Protestant banking interests. He lists the families. There's a whole chapter in Tragedy and Hope. French banking interests. Anyway, so if you would hit like and share, we got a nice, wow, we got 550. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I've been wanting to get to these. Did I finish the Tucker thing? No, we got a couple more minutes here. We'll finish this out.
After 30 years of watching government officials ignore the voters who employ them, we were shocked to learn this. It's not acceptable. Americans have trusted their government less with every passing year since the killing of John F. Kennedy. Maybe this is why. And people have known this for a long time. The people who knew would include every director of the CIA since November of 1963. And that list would include Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, one of the most sinister and dishonest figures in American life. That list would also include, we are sad to say, our friend Mike Pompeo, who ran the CIA in the last administration. Mike Pompeo knew this. We asked Pompeo to join us tonight, and though he rarely turns down a televised interview, he refused to come. We hope he will reconsider. Subscribe.
So there you go. Stuff that we knew all along, but I appreciate that being out on such a widely watched outlet. Did anybody find that? I really wish I could find that clip of O'Reilly. Let's try Inside Edition O'Reilly. And Marcello Mob JFK. Maybe that's the magic words to find it. Oh. Ooh, this might be it. This looks like local news. Let's see if this is it.
What your country can do for you.
John F. Kennedy represented a breath of fresh air as the nation entered the decade of the 60s. He was young, handsome, and rich, a war hero who just a few years earlier...
Oh, this is not O'Reilly, but it looks like it's talking about that subject.
...entered a storybook marriage with Jacqueline Bouvier, as seen in this rare footage from the wedding. But for all his good qualities, Jack Kennedy had a wandering eye, and in Las Vegas he found a place that could help satisfy his appetites.
We are also delighted to have in our audience Senator John Kennedy from the great state of Massachusetts.
Kennedy became friends with the infamous Rat Pack in 1954 after charter member Peter Lawford married into the Kennedy clan. JFK partied with Lawford, Frank Sinatra, and other Rat Packers, both in Hollywood and later in Las Vegas, while Jackie stayed at home. Newspaper records show Kennedy's first visit to Las Vegas was 1956. He made a speech, then met a string of young women supplied by Lawford and Sinatra. He was back again the following year for another speech and more entertainment, according to Lawford. Along the way, the senator became acquainted with the men who ran Las Vegas, including mob ambassador Johnny Roselli. Family patriarch Joe Kennedy was already well known to the mafia, including Chicago.
So Joe Sr. ran liquor with Al Capone back in the day. And they ran the liquor out of Hot Springs, Arkansas, because the mob at that time would meet in Hot Springs because you can't hide a gun if you're meeting everybody in the Hot Springs Baths and you're naked. So no place to hide a gun unless you got a gun in your armpit, right? And it was a great hub there in Hot Springs. And if you go to Hot Springs, I recommend everybody do the history of the Mafia tour in Hot Springs. It's really instructive, informative, and actually makes a lot of interesting connections that are kind of sort of gems hidden here and there in the lecture tour that you get. And that's Momo Sam Giancana, who was kind of the head. Well, he was the head of the Chicago outfit at this time, and also connected to Marilyn Monroe and to JFK. So this is a big part of this story. But once you see this and you realize that the CIA had contracted out in the past other events and other getting rid ofs and assassinations to mobsters, this is all. And by the way, there's plenty of books on this. By the way, it's not even like theory. It's like well known.
Kingpin Sam Giancana, the mob overlord of Las Vegas.
The old man.
Technically, he's the mobster of Chicago, but he was. That's the connection to Vegas, because Vegas is like a money funneling thing. But Sam Giancana is out of Chicago, not Vegas.
Kennedy was a very close friend of Giancana's. They were in business together in the old days, in the bootlegging business.
Kennedy.
Yeah, and see, that's that. So Giancana ends up taking over the Chicago outfit after Al Capone, right? So Al Capone goes away, and then it ends up eventually being Sam Giancana running the Chicago mob. And that's how Kennedy gets elected, through the mafia helping through the Democratic machine to throw an election, steal an election. That's how JFK got elected.
Made 3 trips to Las Vegas in 1960 and even won the endorsement of the Review-Journal. Nevada and the nation voted Kennedy into office in November. Frank Sinatra accompanied Jackie at the inaugural ball. During the 1960 campaign, while at the Sands Hotel, JFK had been introduced by Frank Sinatra to Judith Campbell, and they began a 2-year affair that later proved an embarrassment. Campbell was simultaneously seeing Sam Giancana, and FBI boss J. Edgar Hoover found out about it. 1962 saw another Kennedy visit to Las Vegas.
They were also sleeping with Marilyn Monroe, so it's not just that chick.
It's time for a 2-hour inspection of the test site, accompanied by Nevada officials. The Nevada public seemed to adore the president, but some Las Vegas residents were upset about a Justice Department crackdown on the mafia.
So that was what RFK did that made everybody mad, and particularly Carlos Marcello, who's out of New Orleans running the mafia down there. He gets exiled to Guam and gets furious, sneaks back into the U.S. on one of his shrimp boats, which carries heroin. It's a shrimp drug cover boat. He sneaks back into the U.S. and decides, okay, we're going to get rid of this dude because you don't send me to freaking Guam.
Leaders said they had helped get Kennedy elected, and they wanted the...
Told you. Even the mainstream freaking news. What is this? Mainstream news out of Las Vegas. This looks like an old, like 80s news report, right? This is from, it didn't even say when this is from. But this is a local news report from, I don't know, it might even be late 70s. This sounds old as heck.
Heads to back off.
They were putting ungodly pressure on Sam Giancana, as we all know. He was under surveillance 24 hours.
Told you.
In Chicago. And finally it got to him, and he...
So I didn't even know deep into all this mob angle. And yes, I've read a few of the main books on JFK stuff, right? I never really got into it. But for me, when I got into the history of the mafia, that's when all this made sense. So, yeah, I knew about the CIA angle. I know about LBJ and Bush Senior, W. Yeah, they all seemed to have had a role in this. But it wasn't them. They allied with these people to do this. There were colluding interests who had already been allied at the time of World War I and prior to World War I. I'm talking about the CIA, OSS, and organized crime. They were already allies prior to JFK period. But there was a similarity of interest, again, in regard to getting rid of these Kennedy brothers.
Talked to Roselli and said, tell Frank Sinatra to talk to the president. After all, we helped the Kennedys get elected.
If Sinatra did, it didn't work. FBI wiretaps picked up Giancana and other mob leaders plotting.
That's Carlos Marcello, as the others, and maybe even Trafficante.
To kill Kennedy. Roselli later testified that the mafia had hired 2 hitmen to do the job, and a House subcommittee concluded it's 99.
Yeah, the hired hitmen were part of organized crime and black operations. So, I mean, once you get this angle, it's like, oh, well, obviously this is what happened. It's like, It's not even that mysterious. I mean, I don't know every detail. I don't know all about how they did it, but when E. Howard Hunt was on his deathbed, he said, I was involved in this. So you have the deathbed confession of E. Howard Hunt. I mean, what more do we need?
9% likely the mob killed JFK.
There you go. Now, it wasn't just the mob. It was the CIA using the mob. Duh.
Becker, among others, believes the seeds of that alleged conspiracy may have been planted here in Las Vegas.
I knew, you know, as we all did here, the picadillos of dear old President John Kennedy when he was here. But nevertheless, he was a human being.
Man, I'm excited. I'm just...
So there's that. I guess there's more to this video. I wasn't familiar. This isn't what I wanted, but... oh, wait. Here's O'Reilly talking about Sirhan. Is this O'Reilly?
Sirhan is now serving a life sentence at the California Correctional Facility.
Yeah, this is old O'Reilly.
To speak exclusively to Inside Edition with the hope that it might help.
Did anybody, any mods, did anybody find... It's a great clip. It's like a 4 or 5 minute clip of O'Reilly. I put it on my community feed when I found it. Because I'm like, this is gold. Like, where did this... How'd this slip through? If anybody can find the Inside Edition clip from probably around the same time, early mid-'80s, of O'Reilly talking about Carlos Marcello, JFK, and the RFK hearings. What y'all talking about in the chat? Anybody know? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on because it's weird because a lot of times when you're doing these kind of live streams, then you remember in the process of doing the live stream these things, these clips. So I didn't think about this clip before doing the live stream. So if any enterprising mod could find it, that would be very cool. Anyway. Yeah, so people saying the Bush family, right? So if we don't know, Bush Senior was for 1 year head of the CIA, and that was right around this time period, right? So this would be again, collusion of interests, and by the way, foreign government interests as well. So what about this guy? Remember him? What do you think of this pretty man right here? What does this person have to say? I'm sure this person would know about the deep state, and we should listen to this person.
Gender crisis. I am pretty certain I use they, he pronouns. And yeah, I just want to let you know I am still trans femme. I am still on HRT. I am not detransitioning or anything. Just my gender is a complete nightmare. I don't know what's going on with it right now. All I know is that these pronouns feel right to me. I don't really understand why, and the he makes me dysphoric if like a cis person uses it for me, or a person who doesn't really understand what my gender is, because it's really not like he the way you use it for men. It's he in the masculine woman kind of way, which is kind of what my whole gender is going for. My whole gender is supposed to be girl who's trying to be a boy, not boy who's trying to be a girl. So yeah, I hope it makes sense. I'm really sorry if it makes no sense.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but I mean, this is when a culture completely rots and is collapsing, people go nuts. And why do they go nuts? Well, the reason that people go nuts is that there is a strong delusion to hate, flee, and fear truth. It's that simple. So our whole society is built on exalting and accepting lies. And a big part of this is what I'm talking about, right? It's not all about, quote, conspiracies per se. A person doesn't have to be a conspiracy theorist to be, but it does in a way require us to, because if we admit what's really going on, we would end up being CTs, right? And that's what we would be led to. But because people can't go there for various reasons, various attachments, they feel empowered by siding with the system. They feel like they're participating in this reflective glory of power by siding with the establishment. They're going to get a cut. They're going to be included. They're going to be seen as special. No, you're not. And as many historians point out, when the establishment, if they fully come to power, if they fully take over and change everything as they intend to do, the first people to go are these people, are the people who are the collaborators. Lord V told a great story about the fall of Byzantium, where when Mehmet the Conqueror came in, all the people that had helped to collude with Mehmet so that Byzantium fell, they thought they were going to get all these prizes and rewards and get a cut. Do you know what Mehmet did? He tortured and killed them. All those that had colluded with the fall of the society, he tortured and killed. Now, why is that? Again, it doesn't require super high IQ to figure out why that would be. If you're Mehmet the Conqueror and you had all these spies and traitors, do you think those spies and traitors are going to be loyal to you? Of course they won't. They're traitors. It's like a chick dating a dude who's a serial cheater. Oh, he'll love me. I got that magic, the JJ, that nobody can deny. And what's he do? Immediately cheats. But that's the stupidity of leftism, revolutionary thought, nihilism. It is an impulse to self-destruction. It is an impulse to self-negation. And it's an impelling to destroy oneself, as Father Seraphim Rose correctly, totally 100% accurately characterizes the process and movement of revolutionary thought. This is what it always does. And none of these people know anything about history. Do you think this poor person here knows anything about any of what I've talked about? No, of course not. They're 100% totally programmed, dissociative creations of the system. Again, I was talking about, so in the MKUltra documents, they talk about intentional dissociation on a mass scale. And people have cried that, oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. It doesn't exist. Even though white papers talk about creating mass dissociation. What do you think all of this confusion over the biology is? It's intentional mass dissociation by design. There's frickin' white papers on it. Dr. Holger Hayden wrote papers in the 1960s on how to do it. And if the whole civilization falls, it will be because of the conservatives and the boomers who have come after me and attacked people like myself who have talked about this and been correct for so long, and yet marginalized, attacked, called idiots, called whatever for so long. It will be your fault because you are the kinds of collaborators like the people in Byzantium that helped Mehmet the Conqueror. Because you go after the people that are talking about what's really going on. And that keeps anything from changing. How can you fix a problem when you're not allowed to diagnose it? It would be like the doctor trying to diagnose, which actually is the case now, right? Like fat acceptance. The doctor can't say that you have a problem. Well, that's hate speech. Well, he has to be able to diagnose the problem for you to fix it. And what these people do is, no, you're the problem. Society's the problem, not me. No, you're the problem. You're responsible for your actions. And all the people that attack people like myself, who claim to be conservative Christians and blah, 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 neocon boomers, blah, 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 all those kinds of, those are the ones that are the real problem. It's not these people who are the victim creations of the mind control social engineers. It's the Pharisee type people Those are the real problem. Because when we look at this kind of a thing and we see it all over society now, and it's growing, gender dysphoria, all this is dissociation. It's a certain type of dissociation, but it's an intentional psychological warfare technique, part of info war, part of ideological war, part of culture war, and it's all intent on destroying Western civilization by design. And it's obvious. It's 100% true. It's in the documents. They talk about how to do it. They've been writing about how to do it since the late 60s. And even back before that, because as I've covered with all of Bertrand Russell and all of H.G. Wells and all the Fabian stuff, they talked about using degenerate culture to destroy and move society into the new thing. It's not a theory. It's a strategy. It's a technique. And nothing will change until people can figure that out and admit that what I'm saying is correct. But if you don't want to admit that and you want to stay in your delusion, everybody will learn the hard way. Including me, including all of us. Been to Austin lately? Have you traveled much? In the last 5-6 years, I've traveled more than I've ever traveled, including other countries. And it's wild because when I was younger, in the 90s, I went to New York. I grew up in California. I remember what it's like in those kinds of cities, those areas. And yeah, there was homeless people. There were, streetwalker women in certain areas of San Diego. But I don't ever remember tent cities everywhere. Giant encampments of tent cities. When you go to Austin, okay, I went to Austin in 2017 for the first time. 2016, and then again in 2017. And the change from that to going there, what was the last time we were there? 2020, right before COOF. It blew me away because every overpass has giant tent cities in Austin. I don't know where this is. It looks like New York subways, right? Or DC. It's crazy. And it's no different in LA. Everybody knows about San Francisco, right? I mean, why is it that you see this kind of stuff and we know that it's the policies that these cities enact, right? And it's done by design. Can people not figure out? It's not dumb liberals. All the normie conservatives. These dumb liberals, they're totally incompetent. No, they're not. They're fully competent. I'm not talking about Joe Biden and AOC. They're gone. I'm talking about the people behind them. They're not dumb. They're 100% competent. This is a technique. These are warfare techniques. This is how you weaponize and destroy and ruin societies. It goes back to old British imperial strategies of how to divide and conquer and how to do cultural warfare and drug warfare. Does everybody know about the British Empire's approach to China and weaponizing opium? Everybody knows about that by now, surely. It's not a conspiracy theory. The mainline history class would tell you about this. Okay, do you think that people who study geopolitical imperial strategies, did they just quit studying that stuff? Once the British Empire went away, well, we don't study that no more. I got Henry Kissinger's book right here in front of me. You think Henry Kissinger studies empires and imperial strategies? Do you think Zbigniew Brzezinski studies that? Maybe. Like world order? Maybe. Okay, well, maybe he knows a thing or two about psychological warfare, info warfare, cultural warfare, and drug warfare. Maybe Brzezinski knows a little bit about that. I mean, they were only running shit for the last 70 years. Maybe they know a little bit about that. I mean, what do you guys think? It's the liberals. It's the incompetent liberals. If we just get a few more of them GOP conservatives, that will fix the problems. Conservative. This is what people think. I mean, you're dealing with straight up total demons. And you think that, what in the world? Ugh. I mean, dude, libs of TikTok is too much for me. I can't even watch this. Let's see what this dude's saying.
My wife sleep with other men, not because I'm a simp, and I wish people would stop calling me that, but because I'm open-minded enough to know that for a relationship to work, you have to let your partner explore other relationships. Because what is your relationship if you don't trust them enough to explore other people? And so that's why I let my wife sleep with other men. And if you have a problem with
you know what? This kind of seems like he's trolling, but then again, who knows, right? I mean, I can't tell the difference anymore between trolls and reality. Everything is we're in the full surreal now. We're in 100% full surreal. So that could go either way. I don't know about that one. Whoa, dude, what's going on here?
Or I'm not as conservative, but I mean, really, it's not any different than, I mean, Disney, they have similar things. Like, it's really not that far from it.
I had sex with my father's boss.
Oh, this is the woman saying that going to these shows is no different than Disney. Actually, she's probably right. Okay, so yeah, the Disney pretty much is the same as that. Yeah, okay, I actually agree with her. What is this woman saying? Oh,
we are both white women. We are inherently a danger in spaces for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color simply by existing.
I'm starting to believe that liberal white people are actually a danger. I'm actually beginning to believe, yes, liberal white people actually are inherently evil. So I'm becoming a lib of TikTok. I'm more and more agreeing with what they're saying. They're actually spot on. How can we deny that? Actually, I can't disagree. By the way, shout out to the audience. Welcome everybody. We got over 600 on a Thursday night. That's pretty bathed in red pills. Shout out to all you 620 Chad nerds in the audience. The Jay's Analysis audience is Chad nerds. And you beloved people make up that Chad nerdery. If you would hit like and share. Also, guys, do we want to be this kind of a person? Maybe you do. I don't. I want to increase my toxic masculinity points. How do we go about that? How do we increase toxic masculinity? Lucky for you, there's a great way to do that. You can 100% up your toxic masculinity by going to the show sponsor, who is listed in the show description as choq.com, choq.com. The best supplements out there, the best supplements in the world. I did take many supplements for many years. I was all into that. And then I realized I don't actually need all these supplements. I need Choq. Choq literally provides whatever I need for supplementation. And the reason we need supplements, guys, is because the soils are nutrient depleted. The food is nutrient depleted. And thus we're nutrient deficient as a result. And so what Choq does is help to make up for that in regard to their awesome 100% bathed and red-pilled supplements. And I say that with certitude. Go check it out. I recommend The Daily if you're looking for overall supplementation. That's a great product. I'm back on the Tomcat. So I took a break from Tomcat. I was trying out some of the other things. Jamie's been taking the ashwagandha. She did Shilajit for several months. Now she's taking ashwagandha and she really likes it. I'm back on the Choq or the Tomcat because that stuff is just like, I mean, I'm fired up anytime I'm taking Tomcat Elite. All right. And that stuff is rainforest sourced. It's 100% pure, stringent. The purification process they use is actually more stringent than so-called organic. So don't worry about anything like contaminants or anything like that. It's awesome products. And I mean, I'm telling you, don't take more than one Choq a day because if I took two more than once on accident and I couldn't sleep. I was wired until about 4 a.m. So don't do that. You only need one a day. And don't take it late at night because it'll keep you up. But that stuff is fire, dude. It's legit. That's my favorite. And it's proven in peer-reviewed studies. If you go to chalk.com, it's proven to boost testosterone. We got a lot of men out there, a lot of soy men, a lot of men so-called, like this dude right here. This dude needs some chalk. For real, right? And, I mean, I think in the case of this dude, we would ship to the UK to help this man out. So-called this man out. If he needs it. If he wants it. Can't force it on him. But you want to up those toxic masculinity points, head on over to chalk.com. Use the promo code J60. That's the Tomcat right there. That's my favorite. J60Life. JAY60LIFE. That gets you 60% off any recurring subscription. If you just want to test it out, use the promo code JAY50, J50. That gets you 50% off anything right away for a single order. But I guarantee you that you're going to want to keep it going and getting that recurring subscription like Jeffrey Bezos has over at Amazon. You might have heard of that. You can just hit recurring subscription. Well, Chalk has that too. They also have stacks for men and stacks for women. If you don't want to fool through, just get the stack. Get the men's stack. And you got it coming. You got the Action 2.0 coming. You want to have more energy overall. I really think you just need to check out the Tomcat. Because, I mean, if you're a dude, that's what you want. Trust me. But they do have all kinds of other things. They got 7 Wonders. People Irish Moss. Irish Moss, great for the ladies to balance out hormones, whatnots. So check that out. These people are off the hook. Let's see what. Whoa, dude. Let's see what else is going on amongst the left. This is weird for me because I don't ever follow this stuff. I don't look at left profiles. I don't know what's going on TikTok. I don't know what people are yapping about in the community square. I don't follow any of that. And people get mad because they're, well, you don't retweet me. I don't follow anybody. I follow people, but I don't follow the feed. So this is new to me. Not kidding. Every now and then I get triggered and I respond to somebody, which I hate doing. Because Twitter is the worst place to have a debate. It is not set up to have a debate. And I'm always like, just come BC, dude. I don't want to have this stupid text battle with you. And it never happens, and so I hate having stupid fake debates on it. Twitter's the worst for debates. So I don't know what people are talking and yapping about. But it looks like I didn't miss anything in the last nightmare 10 years of everything going crazy. I mean, I see clips here and there, obviously, but this is just... I'm cringing already.
When men say they want kids, I push. Why? First response I get is usually they want to be a father. Makes sense, but you can be a father to kids that are not biologically related to you. Ask why it's important for their kids to be biological. So many say legacy. This isn't Game of Thrones. When men say they want...
Oh my goodness. Whoa, dude. So, I think the most annoying thing about all of this, and it goes for people on the right, is just as much as these loons, everybody wants to be on a moral crusade. That is super annoying. I know we got to have morals. I know we got to have right and wrong. But the most annoying thing is people who want to go on public moral crusades and they base everything around projecting their morals, right? I know, virtue signaling, everybody's going to talk about. But that's the worst part of all of this, right? And then the fake right people play into it too by turning around and doing the same thing about trying to do moral crusades to show how not right-wing they are or how hypocritical the left is when the left doesn't care about hypocrisy. They don't care that you show that they're hypocrites because they don't believe in right and wrong. At least not in an objective sense. They just believe what others subjectively think is right and wrong is what right and wrong is. And so if it's all subjective, and nothing wrong with being a hypocrite, so what if you show that? Of course they're hypocrites. You're not doing any like amazing thing by showing insane left people to be hypocrites. They don't care. And by the way, why should they if there's no right and wrong? That's why we do presup. Presup is the demolishing of all of this nonsense. But until people figure that out, which, by the way, that was kind of the point of the whole James Lindsay, Stephen Coughlin podcast. That was what I was trying to convey, was we need presuppositional critique. That would make us unstoppable.
And it's really important to me, and it's going to be a big deal. I'm coming out at work as trans to everyone, including all my students, who I've known some of them for a couple years.
Oh my goodness. I can't do it. What in the world is going on here? Just attacking Bed Bath & Beyond? Just attacking Nike? Just attacking Nikes. Youths attacking. And by the way, who didn't know that Twitter was censoring the laptop story? I mean, all of them were, obviously. Who didn't know that? Come on. Oh, man. I don't know if I can handle libs of TikTok. This is too much for me, man. Seeing the what's happening to people, what they're doing to people. It's just so weird that you can convince people to destroy themselves. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean? How do you convince? Well, it's clearly more than human ingenuity and psyops. It's demonic. There's no other way to explain this than the demonic. It's not just bad ideas. Look, classical liberalism. If we just give them the right information and enough education. Man's problem's not education. That's a problem. That's not his root problem. That's a Greek, Hellenic, and then Pelagian idea that all man needs is more facts. If we just gave him more facts, he would choose the right. No, have you ever heard of an evil genius? How could there be an evil genius if all man needed was more facts and information? That's just a tool. You could be completely wicked and be the smart. Like the devil is the smartest, the highest IQ creature. Does him knowing a lot of facts make him virtuous? No. That's why there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. But classical liberals and modern day classical liberals and conservatives, they can't figure this out. They're lost. They don't know anything. Where was... I was going to get Father Seraphim Rose's Nihilism book out, but I think it's on a different shelf. Anyway. So what are kids up to these days? Are they out living their best life and going to the park and going to the sock hop and going to the hacky sack convention and playing the hula hoop and meeting girls and boys? Or what are they doing now?
It's incredibly important for there to be queer representation in education because LGBTQ plus youth are more likely than their cis straight peers to be unhoused, to experience depression, anxiety, to be unsatisfied with their lives, and to also lose their lives. And just by accepting those students and by treating them as human beings and showing them compassion and kindness, they are less likely to experience those adverse life effects. Now, there's been a lot of...
So... the majority of these people are homeless? What? I mean, the dissociation from reality... Whoa. From reality... I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at this dude. The dissociation is like... That's what's scary. It's next level, right? And that's the way to understand this stuff, right? You understand?
Let me put it in the comments. Taylor Lorenz .substack. Oh my God, we have libs of TikTok in here. Is that the real libs of TikTok? I honestly can't tell.
Who even is this chick? I don't even know who this is. I know that she's all in the Twitter sphere. Everybody's talking about, is she the one that she doxed somebody or Elon or something? I don't know what the drama is, but I'm guessing that's what it is. Or what's the lowdown on? I don't know. I don't keep up with this stuff. I don't know what's going on. There's all of these about her. Who even is this person? Oh, so did she get banned for doxing?
Which you guys should follow. Taylor Lorenz at Instagram.com, TaylorLorenz.substack.com. Have a new YouTube channel. But yeah, I was suddenly logged out. I just had those 2 tweets and a tweet where I asked Elon for comment today, revealing 0 information. Super crazy. Elon seems to be banning anyone he disagrees with, and I certainly didn't violate any terms that I was.
So one lib gets banned, or 1 or 2 Antifa people, libs get banned, and it's the end of the world. Oh, really? What do you think was going on everybody else's radar who was on our side for the last 7 years? Right? These people are like having mental breaks because they are banned from Twitter after years of just acting like complete loons and maniacs, dominating and destroying lives. Oh, you got your Instagram and Twitter. Oh, now you can't ruin everybody's lives anymore, right? So, it's amazing, right? And isn't it funny that everybody knows none of these people would last 2 seconds in any actual comparison of ideas, critique, debate. I mean, these people are out to lunch. They're gone, dude. There's nothing upstairs, right? So that's why the system had to use total clamp down, iron fist, deplatform, delete, debate, destroy lives methodology, because that's the logic of this whole system. That's what they have to do. What are they going to do? Debate? None of these people would last 2 seconds in a debate, in an actual confrontation. I mean, think about the quality and the tier of the information that we put out. Could you imagine anybody at this tier or level of stuff having an engagement? I mean, it's like, it would be like talking to, a potato. Having a debate with a potato would do better than these people in a debate, honestly. Because a potato would be quiet, right? I think, unless it was a really sassy potato talking smack. A potato would just be sitting there quiet, and actually in a debate, if you're just quiet, you actually do better than the people that jibber jabber their contradictory nonsense, like this person, right? Anyway. So yeah, so potatoes do better in debates than these people. All right, I don't know what is going up. This is just crazy. This is just like, dude, society is just like, this is nuts. I feel bad for these people that are not going to have, that they're not going to experience like the normal things that you should experience. And I'm not being mean. Like, I really genuinely feel sorry for people that they're not going to experience the normal healthy things that a person should experience and go through to mature. You know, like going out and meeting people, meeting women. If you're a guy, learning how to interact with women, learning how to ask a girl out, learning how to flirt. That's all part of what you're supposed to learn in high school to grow up and be an adult, to enter into the world. Do you think any of these people who are undergoing this, do you think they're going to be able to run a business? Do you think they're going to be able to manage a household? No. And that's why they're pushing all this, because this will lead to the society where we all live in coffin apartments in a coon pod in a giant Judge Dredd style mega hell apartment, right? We're all going to be living in, what is it, Peachtree? Go watch Judge Dredd. You'll see what I'm talking about. The giant megalopolis that's a big apartment hellhole It's called like Peachtree Estates. It's like this giant tower of hell, right? They call it Peachtree. So wow, it looks like a lot of these left people got Twitter booted and they're having meltdowns. So, I mean, why does this person even have 350,000? Who are the 350,000 people that follow this person? Like the 20,000 people following that lunatic Logo Daedalus. 20,000 people? 350,000 people following her for what? What could this woman possibly offer you to make your life better? Vouch? Vouch gets 10,000 people live. What do we get? 600. Good grief. What is this?
Excuse me. Basically, neopronouns are kind of like when somebody doesn't identify or isn't comfortable with using he, she, or they, and they want something else that's not gender specific, but still makes them feel euphoria and feel
So I appreciate the people that are pointing out how crazy this is, but again, nobody, the conservative world, they cannot figure out that this is not just dumb liberals. And nothing will ever change. We will never get anywhere until people figure out this is a designed strategy of warfare. It is a technique. The people on the ground are the dumb liberals. The people running it are not dumb liberals. Until we figure that out, nothing's going to change, and the society will keep collapsing. And if you think the cities are bad now with tent cities and what we just saw on the subway a minute ago, just wait. Wait till you see how crazy it can get. I mean, it's hard to. I can't watch this stuff. This stuff is like it's revolting, isn't it? All right, I've seen a lot of these clips. I've seen a lot of this stuff. Whoa, that's fake. So, oh no.
Asked me, are you a boy or a girl? And this has happened a few times, but I live in a pretty conservative area, so I don't necessarily feel comfortable saying what I would like to say, which is I'm neither.
So people that are this age, 13, 14, 15, because that's the time when you're rebelling, they just see this as a way to rebel, but they don't realize that this act of rebellion is literally going to destroy their lives. So it's just sad to see people doing this. But again, read Father Seraphim Rose's book, Nihilism, Roots of the Modern Revolution, and all of this will make sense. So anyway, I can't do much more of this. It's a little too much for me, honestly. But if you do want to go deeper into why it is the way that it is, we've been here talking about it for many years, hundreds of videos. Here's a whole talk from 2016, almost 7 years ago, where I go into how society is planned and organized by think tanks, NGOs, and foundations, and the oligarchs are intent on destroying tradition. So you've got journalists out here discovering that our society is controlled. Oh, yes, exactly what we have said for 7 plus, 10 plus, 15 plus years. In that talk, I go into think tanks and foundations. And then in this talk, we analyze the works of Brzezinski 6 years ago. That will also help you figure out how society is run, why it's the way that it is. Those are just classics saying, hey, we've been here for a long time talking about it. All right, let's open it up. We got a lot of people over here. Not a lot, but we got a nice little warm crowd of 35 people in here. I don't know what everybody wants to talk about today. Could be anything, could be nothing. So the way this works, if you want to chat, if you want to propose something to debate, you request to speak. This does not work on PC or laptop. Twitter Spaces only works on your phone. And then the guy who requests to speak just disappeared. Now he's back. I don't care if you want to talk about religion, theology, atheism, philosophy, Bible, geopolitics, Ukraine, We talk about any of it, but it has to be within what you can talk about because I don't want to lose my channel. So if you start talking about stuff that obviously you can't talk about, we won't talk ever again. Goodbye. So don't waste anybody's time. First up is Cameron. What's up, Cam? Cam. Got them gams.
Yo, what's up, Jake?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, buddy? No, I've been. The reason why it was requested and then not requested is because I figured if I keep hitting the request button, you would see it. Because I've been doing it for like 30 minutes now. I've been trying to get in there.
Okay, well, I was yapping. I wasn't ready to talk to you yet. I wasn't done yapping. But now I'm done, so what's up?
I enjoyed the yapping. So I just got done watching a video. I don't know. You know who DJ Academics is on Instagram?
I do not.
Okay, well, he's like always posting hip hop news, and so he posted a video. By the way, how well can you hear me?
I'm trying to turn it up a little more. So let's see if that's a little better. Go ahead.
No. I just want to know if I'm coming in clear.
Clear enough. Go ahead.
Okay. So it was a video that he posted of a white country music singer, female, and she had let's just say, a voluptuous, round female parts. Okay, I'm trying to be appropriate here.
You're talking about her nostrils.
No, well, sure.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
But it was a female country music singer, obviously mostly white crowd. God, but I viewed the comment section, and the comments coming from the black folk was like, "Oh my God, I love country music now." Another comment was, "Oh, they're evolving," and another comment was like, "All this," and it's like, bro, like we can't even have white folk in America can't even have any culture. It's like I just recently started getting into country music. I used to listen to it as a kid when I was on the radio, but never was a huge fan. But I just recently got into it because, as a white person in America, I feel like I don't have the music culture because it's dominated by this rap music. And so it's like when I look at the comment section, it's like, holy shit. I don't want to cuss on your live if that's a problem or not.
I don't care.
But, okay, yeah, I was like, holy shit. It's like, even when I start to get into having my own culture, it's being taken over by another group. And it's like, what can we have at this point?
Easy answer to that. Thank you for those questions, Cameron. The easy answer to that is cringecore. Why do you think I created cringecore music? It's to give people like you, inherently evil people like you, an answer, a solution, and it's called cringecore music. It's called I'm in love with a Funko Pop. It's called gossiping. It's called Pay Piggy. That's the solution. But thank you for that question. I'm giving our people music. Who's next? Joe? What's up, Joe? Are you there, Joe? Ground control to Major Joe. All right, Joe ain't there. Rob Schneider. Rob. The Robmeister. The Rob Schneidster. I bet you've never heard that joke. You gotta hit unmute, dude.
So I have to George Norrie this for a long-time listener, first-time caller. So I've been listening for a very long time, and I go back and forth between feeling like there's hope and feeling like there's literally none. And
that's why I sing songs. Doomed. My songs give hope.
Yes, they do. I mean, in your opinion, I know people say it changes day to day, but are we just doomed to like a Minority Report style future? Are we doomed to a dystopia?
No,
is there any hope at all?
Yeah. Don't you guys realize how many people are waking up? It's like people are waking up. Is it fast enough to fix anything? I don't know. But they wouldn't have to clamp down and be so hardcore like this if it was totally hopeless. Of course it's not hopeless. Now, if you're a Christian, it's not hopeless because we don't put our hope in this world. But in the sense of, is it hopeless for, I don't know, modern America and Western civilization? It could be. But, again, we trust God's providence. So even if something crazy happens and society collapses, you know, we're not putting our hope ultimately in this life anyway. So, you know, we don't have to fear the future or this world. So, no, of course it's not hopeless. Now, on the earthly sphere, they can't get this through unless enough people go along with it. So it's getting harder and harder to make people go along with it because it's so ridiculous, over the top, and crazy. So they got to push the craziness to the next level. And that's why I make beautiful songs like Pay Piggy to help us get through these hard times.
Pay Piggy. So, there's an old grandma woman named Dolores Cannon. Have you ever heard of her?
I do not believe anybody with the name Dolores is a grandma. That is a millennial name, so I know you're lying right away.
Have you? No, she talks about all the new agey stuff and like the new 4D Earth and 5D Earth and whatever.
So is she on Gaia?
Yeah, she died like in 2013,
No,
I think.
So, new age grandma. No, I don't know about her.
Yeah, so her story is really, really interesting. She wasn't into new age stuff at all. Then her husband had a super gruesome car accident where he was like pronounced dead on the scene. And then 6 months later, he walked away with not a scar on him. And then she started doing like theta level, deep hypnosis or whatever. And she said that a voice came through in each person, and it was like the oversoul is what she referred to it, is like the soul inside us all that is like, but that all feeds into the Marxist-y kind of like the law of identity. Like it goes against that. And so all that stuff, I mean, there's just so much that is so confusing. And
yeah, well, anybody talking about 5D consciousness and oversouls, I wouldn't pay any attention to any of that. So that's a waste of time. And yeah, it ties into, the propaganda about multiverse and identity and breaking down identity. A lot of this dissociation couldn't occur that we've been talking about in the last hour if people didn't understand that you were intentionally robbed of the laws of logic by design. And how could you have all this dissociation if you didn't have a breakdown of the law of identity? So you're absolutely right to make that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and I used to be a Marxist, so like, I have a little bit of an insight into what they do, and I just kind of finally realized, like, these people are not to feed into their dialectic or whatever, but they are the enemy. I mean, they are the bad guys. they are the ones that
Yeah, I mean, they believe in praxis to negate and destroy and tear down the existing structures. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the people who really know what's going on are, like the NGO think tank level people, the Kissingers, the Brzezinskis, or the ideologues like a Habermas, right? I mean, those are people who really know what's going on. The people on the street, these libs of TikTok people, they don't know what's going on. I'm not talking about the people that have the account. I'm talking about the people they feature. Right? These people have no clue what's going on.
And then one last question. So I've requested to Cassandra, the person that books for Timcast IRL, would you ever consider going on such a entry-level, surface-level normie podcast?
I think that may happen. So it looks like it's going to happen. I mean, I think so. I think it's going to happen.
Because I think that you would blow even Luke's mind, and definitely Tim, who doesn't want to acknowledge that there might be a monolithic conspiracy, but his tiptoeing around it. But then I don't even know if these people are controlled opposition either. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it all works out, pans out. I think it's going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, their style is news commentary. They don't really do interviews. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about bringing all the Global Elite books, but that might not be the best approach for their style of show. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think it's going to happen unless something comes up that cancels it or something.
Well, I look forward to that, and I'll definitely send a fat super chat.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate everybody reaching out to Cassandra and everybody. I appreciate Lydia recommending me and all that, and Rachel, and so many people. Chase had been recommending. So hopefully it's going to work out.
Yeah, because I mean, you rationalize the conspiratorial mind. You make us all feel like we're not so crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of what I hope to do. So I appreciate that. Great comments there, Rob. Let's move on to Rachel. What's up, Rachel? We'll do some super chats here in a second. What's up, Rachel?
Hey, Jay.
Yo.
I heard that little fun clip with the woman saying you need to ask men why they want to have babies, because why don't they just want to, adopt, and why do they have to have genetic babies of their own? It's funny because the second book I've been working on, I'm almost finished with the research stage and should be starting writing in January. This is actually not a new idea at all, and it ties into a lot of the stuff that you've been talking about recently. So there was a Bolshevik woman called Alexandra Kollontai who did a lot of propaganda. She was a really big, prolific writer for the Soviets. And she was also a high-level government position for a woman at the time. She was like, a top cabinet position. And she wrote a lot of stuff about how we need to get rid of the family because the patriarchy and paternity is how private property and wealth are passed down.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that legacy idea is connected with you passing down property. And when Bertrand Russell and H.G. Wells said that they would get rid of all this, it was precisely for that purpose, for depopulation. That means you can't pass on a lineage. That's why Brave New World has test tube babies.
Yes. Yep. And that's what she wanted. She was the one that first legalized abortion anywhere in the world. That was her idea. It was also her idea to make it paid for in state hospitals and all that. But the interesting thing about her is that her early education, she was heavily influenced by Beatrice and Sidney Webb, who you've been talking a lot about, and the Fabians.
Yes.
And the book is basically about how in the West we had this feminism, sexual revolution, destruction of the family thing going on, but it was more of a get women to be CEOs, get women to be boss bitches, get women to enter the workforce so that they can gain their own wealth.
Lean in.
And then in the East, it was the same thing, only they put it into a communist paradigm where it was like, the only reason you need to be a mother is if you are producing workers for the state. And she literally said women need to stop looking at themselves as mothers and wives, and they need to start seeing themselves as labor units.
Yeah, exactly.
But her ideas came out of, all her education was in Germany, Sweden, the UK, Paris. She even taught at some of the esoteric schools that Anatoly Lunacharsky and Maxim Gorky had in Russia and Italy. So there's some occult ties and some espionage ties. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a super interesting book. Sorry to plug it, but I think it's really interesting how as early as we're talking pre-World War I and right around World War I, this was already going on with this East-West dialectic where it was the same powerful elites, the same small group of people influencing thought, and they could take the same concepts they wanted and make it fit into communism, and they could make it fit into capitalism and just tweak it a little bit, but get the same result.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a really powerful example of how that's done.
Yes, and when you get that done, I'd love to have you on, and we can do a discussion of the new book and the old book about feminism that you talked to Jamie about. And for those in the audience, a lot of people ask, when are you going to do the next Johann Ratziu book talk? I'm almost ready. So in the next couple days, I should be ready to do the second lecture on this excellent classic book. Hard to find. It's really a successor to Quigley. So he synthesizes Quigley and Sutton very well and puts out a pretty recent 2012 work that's about 500 pages, updating everything in regard to Quigley and Sutton's work. So I'm almost ready for the second lecture. I was going to try to do that tonight, but then I was like, nah, let's just clown around and talk about the Tucker JFK thing. So, so that will tie into what I'm going to be covering on the next talk. I would like to get to the new books that came in. Where's the other one? So I finally got Kissinger's World Order. That will probably be a good one to get to. I'm eager to do a full talk on Williams' book, Operation Gladio, which you heard me kind of allude to when we did one of the geopolitics of the Vatican stream a few weeks back. I'm looking forward to this, which also fits into the research that we're covering from the Quigley stuff, the Ratio stuff. So thank you to all my excellent tweeters, because everybody sends me awesome recommendations in Twitter all the time. And somebody recommended Charles Hyam's book, Trading with the Enemy. And this is yet another one of these in the vein of Sutton, showing the higher level industrialist banking power that is really running the communist, socialist, monopoly capitalist situation. Monopoly capitalists that are basically running all this stuff. And this goes deep into Standard Oil and all that. So I'm looking forward to Charles Hyam's book. And then years ago, somebody recommended this. I finally got around to getting it. I haven't read it, so I don't really know what it's about. But everybody said, hey, you got to read this. It's a great, global elites book. The Accidental Superpower by Peter Zeihan. So I'm looking forward to that one. And usually people that recommend global elite texts, they're spot on. I think it was Jim Bob who recommended Jacques Attali's Brief History of the Future. And man, that one was that was next level. So shout out to Jim Bob for that one. I think Jim Bob, I think, recommended a couple other ones that I eventually ended up getting. But I don't remember who recommended Zeihan or Charles Hyam. So I apologize if you guys are not getting the credit you deserve. I just can't keep up with all these messages and emails and tweets. So anyway, anything else you want to discuss, Rachel?
No, that's it for me.
Great tie-ins there. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to delving into the espionage angle of all of this Soviet Bolshevik stuff. And shout out to Richard. So Richard Grove had a great idea last night when we were doing the philosophy class. I wanted to promote that too. Check this out, you guys. Here's the test landing page for the philosophy course. Look at that. That's hype, boy. Look at that. Check it out. Check it out. Philosophy 101. Do you want a better way to study philosophy, gain wisdom, and defend yourself against the regime? The regime? We got to fight the regime. Introducing Philosophy 101 with Jay. Not your father's philosophy class. Not legacy. This is the future, boys and girls. Education in the future, if you want a real education, not state brainwashing institution garbage, you're going to want to get this kind of a course. Philosophy 101. Really, it should, I don't care. Philosophy 101 is fine, but it kind of should be History of Western Philosophy. Introduction to History of Western Philosophy, because it's not really Philosophy 101. It's a little more advanced than 101. So the course, we're 9 lectures in. They're all 2 to 3 hours. So we may end up with 35 to 40 hours of lecture. It looks like it'll go on sale probably in a month. So sometime in January. So we're almost done. Last night we did Descartes. We got 3 or 4 more talks to go. And I really appreciate everybody over at Autonomy. They drew up an amazing landing page here. So this is exclusive to Richard Gross's Autonomy. It's not going to be for sale anywhere else. Richard's a huge bud. Love Richard quite a bit. And it was a great idea that I'm so glad we did this. The plan is we're going to do multiple courses. And I'm like, I want to do a history of espionage. Nobody's done that. I want to do that. Somebody's done that, but not in our sphere. Not in the way I want to. I want to do a full-on super course because I think that would be badass. I also want to do a full-on course of the Global Elite books. I also want to redo the Tragedy and Hope course because I did that when it was like low-tech ghetto and it looks dumb. The information is gold, but it needs to be redone. So hopefully we can eventually totally redo Tragedy and Hope. I might do it over here with Richard. Imagine if we had like 10 courses, 10 full-on courses, 400 hours, if they're all 40 hours or so. That would be buck wild. But I have to say, these are not going to be $4.95. Okay, I put a lot of time into this. It's a lot of work to do. I mean, it's slides. I don't like doing slides. That's some boring stuff, but I did it. So these courses are full-on courses. And I've watched a lot of YouTube, mainline professors doing their boring legacy lectures. This is better than that. And it's going to be on sale in a month, and it's going to be badass, and it's going to be $900 to $1,000. So, but it's worth it, because if you took a college course, which would not be as good as this, you're going to pay $1,000 per credit hour, not for the whole course. And by the way, master classes with JBP or whoever, those are what, $300-$500 for a few hours. This is 40 hours. Okay? And way more material and interaction. So everybody that pays for this course, the next season of the course, I come back and you watch it with me, or I reteach it if I want to. And then you have interactions with me for the Q&A sessions, which go as long as anybody wants. Do you get to interact with anybody in those goofy masterclass things? No, you don't. There's too many people. You don't get to interact with David Lynch teaching the filmmaker class. You don't get to interact with Jordan Peterson, I don't think. So you're paying like $500 for a few hours and no interaction. This is $1,000 for 40 hours of course, which I busted my ass on. And you get to do Q&A for as long as you want. So you can't beat that. And yes, it's worth $1,000. So that's coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. Big Chief, what's up, dude? Big Chief! Chief Keef, what's up?
Yo.
Hey.
So I initially requested, I had like one topic in mind. I have not forgotten it. I'm going to ask it. So I was having I don't know how it relates directly to geopolitics, but I was thinking about like Fahrenheit and Celsius, and I just think that Fahrenheit is superior as a measurement for gauging the atmosphere.
I'm pretty sure that the 10-base system, the Deca system, I'm pretty sure that comes out of Freemasonry. Now, I don't really care if it's the King's way of doing it or the Lodge's way. To me, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm used to feet. I'm used to that stuff. And is Celsius, I mean, is that the same? Does it also come out of the same Deca system?
Well, I mean, I was watching a video about like the inventor of the Fahrenheit system, and like whenever he made the Fahrenheit system, he was brought into like the Royal Society or something like that, or way back in the day.
Okay.
So
yeah, that sounds right. And I'm pretty sure that the Deca, because it was part of I think the French Revolutionary. I may be wrong about this. People going to expose. Oh, you got it wrong. Expose him. Clip it. But it seems like it was part of the French Revolutionary idea to replace everything. Because yeah, they didn't want to use the king's measurement system, right, of a foot being 12 inches. That's monarchy. So they wanted to replace everything with the Deca system because that was part of the replacing the calendar, right? So they replaced the religious calendar with their fake made up revolutionary holidays like Thermidor. Does everybody know about this? No, I'm serious.
No,
The French Revolution.
I did know about the how the French tried like replacing the calendar.
Yeah, they called it year one.
Like, nobody knew how to use it.
Right.
It's too complicated.
They called it year one, and they made up holidays. They made up I'm not joking. Atheist holidays. Check this out. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah. See. Look at this stupid ass calendar and these made up atheist holidays.
Wow.
Thermidor was the 11th month of the French Republican calendar. That's the French Revolutionary calendar. It was named after thermal from the Greek word thermos or heat. And so that was just their fake made up Robespierre. It says Thermidor reaction is the overthrow of Robespierre. So when they got rid of their own revolutionary, they called it the Thermidorian Revolution but there's a whole bunch of these. I was trying to see the whole calendar. Anyway, but you get the idea.
Yep.
Here it is.
I would like to be thoroughly red-pilled on like American history one day. I mean, since like America itself is like such a heavy global influence on everybody else.
Notice this. Notice this. The revolutionary system was designed to remove all religious and royalist influences from the calendar. What did I just tell you?
Wow.
Yep. So I'm trying to look at the actual dates are pretty funny. We're getting a freaking blizzard. Did we never have blizzards in Tennessee? We're getting a crazy windy blizzard right now. Let's see. So they had to replace the religious calendar, obviously. And there it is, decimal time. See that? French Revolutionary calendar also wanted to change everything over to deca-based times. So autumn is called Vendemiaire, Brumiere, Frimiere. Winter is Nivose, Pluvise, Vendise. These sound like made up things in like a C.S. Lewis novel or something. Like spring is called Germinal, Floreal, and Prairial. Summer is called Messidor, Thermidor, Fructidor.
Fructidor.
This is so stupid, right? And then they tried to introduce a 10-day week, so that the week actually has 10 days. And by the way, that's because that's all the Masonic way. The Deca system is out of the Masonic lodges. And then they had these women they painted to be like the symbolic women of the month. This is so stupid. But here's your atheist revolutionary holiday seasons that they made up.
That's wild.
Yeah. So red pill you on America. Well, I mean, America's a mix of good and bad things. So I wouldn't say that there's like some whole completely bad thing about America. I mean, many of the founding fathers would actually make a lot of the critiques that you hear me making. I mean, many of them constantly talk about the control of the banking power.
Right.
So we can appreciate all of that. We can appreciate the Christian elements. However, if we look at classic books like Fire in the Minds of Men, who James Billington was the official Librarian of Congress scholar for many years, and he's actually a supporter of revolutionary philosophy. But what he admits in this book is that the American ethos is a Enlightenment, Freemasonic, revolutionary republic. So that's just the facts, right? It's like competing interests and systems in this. So there's like common law, British common law, there's Roman law, there's biblical law, Christianity, Enlightenment philosophy, Enlightenment natural law theory, natural rights, John Locke. All of that is kind of wrapped up in the American system and ethos. And so, in my view, my opinion, the last couple centuries of America is a struggle to see which of these conflicting ideologies that's in this big melting pot will win out. And unfortunately, we are not going in the route of the Christian elements, obviously. So things are going in a bad direction. Now, if you want a academic treatise that's much more specific about the ideology of America, making the same point that Billington, there's this book called Republic of Mind and Spirit by Catherine Albanese, and she gets into a lot of the Enlightenment ideology behind America. So that's a big fat book that gets into that. So good questions, Big Chief. Thank you. I'm gonna have to go pretty quick. Hold on, I'm sorry, dude. I gotta pee really bad. So let's go to. All right, we've already had you guys. Joe Marade, last question because I gotta whiz. I gotta do the super chats too. What's up, Joe?
Oh, hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Yes.
Fuck.
I can hear you, dude.
Damn, I can't hear you.
Okay, well, oh well. All right. So, sorry, we're going to end it there. Great chat tonight, guys. Let's do the super chats. I got to whiz. Can't do this all night without whizzing. Cobra Commanda, $3. If the papal tool is ex porcelain cathedra, is it infallible? Oh, the papal toot. If the papal toot is ex porcelain cathedra from the porcelain chair, is it infallible? That is an interesting question, an interesting twist there on the throne. Well, Emmanuel, $10. Thank you and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Thank you, Well Emmanuel. Mel U, $100. Woo! Fat super chats. Thank you so much. Making the show worth it. Guys, if you would, also follow me over on Rockfin, the best free speech-based platform out there. Rockfin is an awesome support for us. Eventually, I could be gone from this place at any point. We all know that. Can't believe we're still here. But we did make it to 100K. But what happens if tomorrow you wake up and your favorite creator is not here? And that will probably happen at some day. You'll wake up and you'll be like, well, what is he up to? What's he saying? What's his impression? What's his new hype rap song? What's the new cringecore song that just dropped? And I'm gone. Where are you going to find me? Oh, you're going to find me right there at Rockfin. 643 live. I can't believe we almost made it to 700. That's awesome for a live stream. Then it just dropped to 600. What's going on? Guys, if you would hit like and share, support the show. Tell me in the comments, right? Put the notifications, all that stuff on, because they don't do any of that. Nate Dogg. Oh, that's my kind of name right there. That's my kind of name. Oh, I feel like I need to sing some Nate Dogg. Nobody does it better. They can come closer than close. Yeah, yeah. They're trying to make you see. Nobody does it better. Nate Dogg says, how do you respond to a loved one getting into white magic? Well, you just send them the libs of TikTok pointing out how white people are inherently evil. No, I'm just joking. Well, magic is the idea that I can cause my will to be exerted out there, right? So it's kind of like a denial of divine providence and prayer. So I would just point out that you can't do white magic because you don't need to engage in magic at all to exert your will in terms of external forces. You just need to believe in divine providence. So the main problem with magic or white magic or whatever isn't that you're studying chemistry or alchemy or whatever. It's a denial of divine providence. It's a lack of faith in God and the idea that, oh, I gotta appease the gods with superstitions to make, things happen. No, you don't. You don't need to do any of that. So try to point that out. Tronicle, $22. Tronicle. Thank you, Tronicle. Through Human Eyes, $60. Thank you so much. I just bought the Fabian Freeway. Yes, that is on my to-get list. I took a couple of years off of buying a lot of books. Bought a couple books here and there over the last 2 years of the COOF. A couple academic, theological, orthodox texts. Some of the some of the Oxford Press stuff that's really expensive. So I got, 3 or 4 of those. But over the last couple years, I did not engage in my normal book buying festivities that I usually engage in. However, this Christmas, I did go back and I was like, there's about 30 books just kind of sitting in my Amazon wish list that I'm ready to get. And a couple popped up that have been, not available for a long time. I think I finally got the Lily Kay book that Tristan recommended, the Rockefellers and the Molecular View of Life. I've been wanting that for 4 years. That finally popped up, so I got that. Finally got Hegel and the Hermetic Tradition. Been wanting that for like 10 years. Finally got it. So I kind of splurged and bought a bunch of books. So I got like 20 books coming for my Christmas present to me. So, and one of those is also Fabian Freeway, which I haven't bought that one yet, but I'm ready to get it. So glad you got it. I know it's referenced in here by Ratio. So with your $60, I will probably go buy that book. And Merry Christmas to you. It has some of the best meaty giblets that I've read in a long time. Well, there you go. That's why I got to be sure and get Fabian Freeway. So thank you for that, and I will get it with your money. Brian Pureblood, $10. Thank you for introducing us to Matthew Arrett. Yes, we're going to do new streams, new shows, new podcasts. When I was talking to Richard about this, we want to have a big kind of panel discussion or whatever, a long super class. I don't know how we're going to do it. We were talking about Whitney Webb, Jason Burmis, Mark Hackard. Richard wants Mark involved. Matthew Arrett and others. And, trying to kind of get the best researchers and readers together. And so, yeah, I think we can get Matthew involved too. BMX 1966, $25. Merry Christmas to you. Great video. Merry Christmas. BMX, longtime supporter, longtime super chatter, big fat super chatter. John Connell with the $3 from John Connell. Have you been in big cities and since the face diaper stopped? Only Nashville. I mean, if that's not like New York big, but it's a big city. So no, the only city we went to Orlando for the event, and the masks were pretty much gone when we did the Orlando event this summer. By the way, we're gonna do Austin event in February. The plan is to do the Austin event in February, and guess who I'm planning to get to be part of that one. You got it. The man himself, the philosopher of comedy, BG Cumby, just might come and do his thing at the Austin event. Austin event, more like awesome event, right? Won't that be awesome? BG Cumby live? What? Dude, the crossovers are getting insane, aren't they? Things are getting crazy. It is astonishing to see that people didn't realize what happened to them for the last 2 years. It is astonishing. That I agree with you. Mr. Henry, 2817, $3. Jay, there's a lot of fake relics in the Roman Catholic Church. Can you contrast this to Orthodoxy? Well, humans are humans anywhere, so I'm sure the Orthodox Church has fake relics too. But I don't know a lot about that. Based Pay Piggy, $50. Woo! Can we get an impression of Eric Ibarra mad that Santa Claus didn't leave him chocolate fountain on Christmas? I want to say that I've been a good boy all the whole year. I didn't make fun of nobody, and I ain't never laughed at a fat joke. And Santa Claus didn't bring me nothing. He didn't give me what I asked for, which was a chocolate stocking full of chocolate goodies and a chocolate fountain from the Golden Corral. How's that? Storm the Cat, $5. Hi, dude. Hi, dude. Mo, $20. Merry Christmas. Thank you for the informative content. If the system were fair or even semi-fair, you would have 1 million subs. I tend to agree with that. Exactly. Thank you. I have learned from you in a short time, in all my years. I was at a Jesuit university. Exposed! Illuminate, confirm! No, thank you, man. By the way, I think Bryson Gray said that he would put up tonight's show tonight. So, has he put it up yet? I don't know. Let's see if he put it up. He said it would be a couple hours after we did the interview. It's been a couple hours. Did he put it up? I don't know. Let's see if it's up yet. Don't think it's up yet. Okay, so let's see. So here's his. It's going to be where he puts up the Taylor Marshall interview.
So the fun thing with the
So he had Taylor Marshall on right here. So I don't think he's uploaded it yet, but it'll be right here under where all this is. So he had Tovia Singer on to represent Orthodox Judaism. Then he had Taylor Marshall on to represent Catholicism. And then he had me on to represent Orthodoxy tonight. And it'll be up over on his channel pretty soon. So look for that. Sinful Chud, $25. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Sinful Chud. Much appreciate all these super chats. Anna the Cook, $5. Do you think that brainwashing on the left is so complete that it can't be broken except with Christ? Yes, absolutely. I mean, sometimes people come out of it who aren't super, but it's getting to the point where it's just like full on like dissociative possession type stuff. So it seems like Pavlov and demoralization that Yuri Bezmenov speaks of. It is part of that. It's dissociation, but Yuri Bezmenov was also just speaking as a mouthpiece for the CIA. So it drives me nuts when people don't talk about that. But read Mark Hackard's essay on Yuri Bezmenov. But to your point, yes, they aren't able to use their prefrontal cortex. Yeah, it's a chemical lobotomy through the toxic culture and all of it, food, all of it, right? And that's why I was talking about veganism at the beginning. That's part of that toxic culture, absolutely. So, but thank you for that, Anna Cook, much appreciated. All right, if you guys would hit like and share. Also, remember, until the end of the new year, you can get my books with free $30 free value chalk. So you get a free Tonkat Ali if you buy my books between now and New Year's. You can get the big old red book, 660 pages of all the essays I wrote in the last 10 years on theology and philosophy, or you can get the little introduction to philosophy, 200 pages, meta-narratives, or you can get Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2, the classics. And yes, they're all signed copies available in the shop at my website. And I'm happy to announce that Esoteric Hollywood just got translated into Polish to be sold in Poland. That's exciting. And I think it's being maybe translated into Italian for the Italians. So if you didn't know, people in Italy, they speak the Italian. And the book will be for them in their native tongue of lasagna